Burlington, Philadelphia, a Beasley Media Group station, live from the Comcast Business Studios. 97.5, The Fanatic. John Kincade, Andrew Salciunas. This is Kincade and Salciunas. 97.5, The Fanatic, and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Well, as fans, we're normally more excited than not about our teams, but I do wonder if sometimes we may ignore flaws, and I know that I am very guilty of this, especially when I watch the NBA playoffs continue. The Phillies sweep the Nationals, another great weekend, old school versus new school conversation. We have a lot in store for you. It's Kincade and Salciunas on this Monday morning, 97.5 The Fanatic.
This is Kincade and Salciunas.
Stars in cities, especially like Philadelphia, they are always on the map, and we should expect more winning out of them.
And we'll go to the Eagles and Jalen Hurts. I am a believer that your best player, I think there is also a responsibility as the team spokesperson.
Kincade and Salciunas. John Kincade, Andrew Salciunas.
97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
And a good Monday morning, Philadelphia. I'm Andrew Salciunas alongside my man John Kincade. Johnny, good morning.
It's Monday.
It is.
We're down to business.
We are. How was your weekend?
It was
you
awesome.
A nice one?
It was awesome. You?
Yeah.
Nice haircut.
Thank you very much.
That's good
all.
summer.
I'm fishing for the compliments. Thank you.
Good summer cut.
Yes. Look, it's beach weekend upcoming. Memorial Day weekend.
See, that's awesome.
So a lot of people have the short week if people are taking off Friday. And, of course, next week's a short week. So let's get down to business early. All right,
let's do it.
Let's get this stuff out of the way.
That's very good.
All right, so
you sound like you're going to lose your breath
I'm in a tough spot.
Why in a tough spot?
All right, so I am more positive than not when it comes to my sports teams. And we've discussed this a lot. I've not really seen the tough times, right? Like, I've been blessed as an Eagles fan. I've been lucky to be an Eagles fan, which I think may sound crazy for people to say, maybe of your generation, to say, I'm lucky to be the fan of the Philadelphia Eagles. I am lucky. Connor's lucky, right? Because we have seen so much success in our lives, even though it's only been one Super Bowl, but we never saw the dark days that you saw, right? I'm usually more of a positive person. I saw the light of the process. I still see the light of championship windows, the light that creeps through. I love the Phillies. I love the future of the Flyers, and we have some Flyers rumors that we'll get into today.
Okay.
But I'm normally more positive than negative. But then every once in a while, I have to remind myself that my teams aren't going to win a championship every single year, and there's a reason why they're not going to win a championship every single year. There will be flaws to the teams that we love so much. So I'm going to ask a question right away. And I know that I am guilty of doing this, but I think that you're not because you're logical, John. How many of us ignore negative signs when it comes to evaluating our teams? We almost push it to the side, or we think that they will overcome it every single time. For example, we did not W's and L's last week, but we looked at the Eagles' schedule.
You did a good job with that, I got to tell you.
You got to 12-5. I got to 13-4, but I could see 12-5 if they lose back-to-back Rams-Ravens, but I'm not necessarily sure if that's going to happen. I think this team's too good to be losing back-to-back games. Okay. I say all these things, right?
Yes.
I have a 13-4 record. It's very similar to the same team that went 10-1 and fell to 11-6 last year. The linebackers still are very, very concerning. Nakobe Dean, I don't know what this guy's going to give me.
No idea.
Devin White, his arrow is pointing down, not up.
No question.
Zach Bond, Vic Fangio himself a few weeks ago said, yeah, he didn't play that inside linebacker position at all, but we're going to try in there. There's a lot of concerns about linebacker, and yet I ignore it when I do W's and L's, and I go, the Eagles are going to go 13-4.
I don't think you ignored it. I think you looked at a team. Did they have a ton of problems at linebacker last year?
They did.
Were they 10-1?
Yes.
Did you think that there's really no excuse for them that team last year didn't go 13-4?
They should have.
When they were 10-1,
absolutely,
they should have easily been able to go 3-3. So no, I don't think you're putting on rose-colored glasses. I don't think you're overlooking it. I feel better about the linebacker room than I did a year ago. So I'm going to look at that as a net win.
Okay.
They're a little bit better. But do I know? Hell no. I have no idea. I have no idea how it's all going to work out. I do know this, though. Again, I'm putting it as, and I looked at it as you feel in the same way, there are adults in charge now.
Right, that's a good point.
And so you're going to look at it and say, I feel like there's an adult in charge, and that Vic Fangio is going to be able to get a hell of a lot more out of what we've got in that room than somebody else.
And I think Kellen Moore will get more out of the offense,
Absolutely.
which is crazy to say get more out of A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, Saquon Barkley. But that was the case last year.
There's a lot more you can squeeze out of that lemon, I promise you.
And then, when it comes to the Sixers, you know how
you
I
wear
am.
different outfits. I will tell you, because you go from Philly, you're a diehard baseball guy.
Yes.
You love you and Conor both
Seamheads, man.
You love baseball, which is great, and I love that because I love baseball also. Football is always going to be number one with me. You guys have the great passion for that. But when it comes to basketball, I see you as a different guy.
Yeah, I
think you're a different basketball fan than you are. You have much more logic in you when you start talking about basketball, when you talk about baseball and football.
Correct. And basketball, now look, it's also a star-driven league where you might just need one guy, and we're seeing that now, where you might just need one guy and your team can be carried into a deep playoff run. And unfortunately, every single year, I get kicked in the teeth or the nuts, depending on how
it's not
tall
your
the
guy.
person. Yeah,
it's not your
exactly.
guy that does it.
And it's amazing, man, because I'm watching the NBA playoffs unfold, and the Mavericks take care of business against the Thunder. The Timberwolves come from behind down 20 to beat the Nuggets yesterday.
After being up 2-0, falling behind 3-2.
And still winning the series.
That was wild.
Unbelievable. The Celtics, they locked things up a long time ago, and then the Pacers beat the Knicks yesterday. But here's what I look at it. When I look at the bracket, right? The Mavericks' 2 best players, guards. Timberwolves' best player, Anthony Edwards, guard. Celtics, Jason Tatum, Jalen Brown. Jalen Brown more of a guard, Jason Tatum more of a forward, but wing players. Pacers, guard and wings. The Sixers' best player is a center. Now, the Nuggets' best player, who won a championship last year, is a center.
Okay.
But they have the right pieces around them, which is something I don't think the Sixers have had, except for Tyrese Maxey. But it's one of these things where I had a dark moment in my life a few years ago, John, and this probably surprises you. I had a dark moment. A couple years ago, Sixers were eliminated from the playoffs, shockingly. And I watched Ja Morant and Steph Curry go toe-to-toe. 2 guards, banging threes back and forth.
Western Conference Finals.
Yep. And I go, man, I kind of wish I had that. Now, I'm starting to see that in Tyrese Maxey, but I haven't really had that. And I don't know if not having that is the direction to win.
I would tell you if you're watching – I watched Timberwolves the Timberwolves yesterday. I turned it off, thinking that they were going to just get smoked.
And they're down 20?
Going to get smoked, turned it off, and then ended up having to scramble back to it when it was like, what the hell's going on here? How did this happen in a Game 7? Watched the Oklahoma City game and probably watched around a quarter and a half of that. I've got to tell you, I'm looking at it, and my dark thought, I look at it and say, I don't see it. I don't see any way we're building that. I'm looking at Embiid and Maxey and saying, how are we going to find 5 other pieces? 6 other pieces? Because you need 8.
Yeah.
You need 8 to match up with these teams. I got to tell you, I don't think he's the Wizard of Oz. I don't know how Daryl Morey's finding them.
Oh, it's gonna
There's a dark thought.
It's gonna be a tough one.
I get why you have envy.
Yes.
You envy what somebody else has got. But do you enjoy I would enjoy watching that style of basketball.
I would.
But I enjoy watching Joel Embiid.
I do too. And look,
so I'm like,
this
I feel
is not
torn
me
about
saying I don't think Joel Embiid's ever going to win,
right.
but it's just one of those things. Like, I wonder, will there be a day? We've talked about the Miami Heat,
Yep.
Dwayne Wade and Shaq. We've talked about it a lot. Maybe that needs to happen sooner than later, where it's more of a Tyrese Maxey-driven show. At times, there's going to be nights where Embiid's still scoring 40. I mean, you watch the Minnesota Timberwolves. Karl Anthony Towns is sometimes the leading scorer in a game. It's not always Anthony Edwards. Yesterday, it was Karl Anthony Towns with 23, so it's not always the Anthony Edwards show. But there might be times where Maxey's going to have to say, hey, this is my team. I got this tonight. It might have to happen sooner than later.
You just brought up Cat there, who, by the way, I can't believe I never thought he had it in him to win a 7th game.
Yeah.
And to be the leading scorer of a team in a 7th game. I just, of that magnitude. But I think they had five guys in double digits, all 5 starters.
Oh, yeah.
There's balance. I want that. And I don't believe that. I don't believe Daryl Morey's going to have the resources or the ability to build that.
Well, the resources are there because of the cap space, but making trades and stuff, it's going to be an interesting one. And
I just don't, and I look at it, I have envy about that.
Envying it. Like, I do. And here's the thing. I ignore it. I ignore it sometimes where I go, look, I do believe the Sixers had their deepest bench, but I also go based off of all the other Sixers teams.
But they were
the
old.
Sixers bench was not as good as the Minnesota Timberwolves or the Denver Nuggets or the Boston Celtics. I look at it specifically I compare one Sixers team to another when I should compare it to the other teams in the league. I should do that about the Eagles linebackers or the Eagles offense or the Eagles coaching staff. I just look at so one-sided sometimes, and I go, oh, they're really talented. I should just leave it at that. And then I see it sometimes it blow up in my face.
Well, also, too, they're building – I will insist and continue to insist they're building the wrong way. There's Sixers fans who want to get older. Watch the NBA playoffs. It's not the formula to win.
All right.
It's not the formula to win.
It might be the only way they can.
You're right, John, but what did you just say?
I want to build.
You just said you don't know how Daryl Morey could possibly do it.
I don't know how I can, but I want to build. I want to build.
If you're saying one way you don't know how he can do it, and then you're saying you want to do that way, what are they supposed to do?
No, what I'm saying is I want to build. I believe it will be another season of kick the can, where they're just going to say, well, we're going to do this. We're going to double down on getting – like they surrounded Joel Embiid with old guys this year. They surround him with old guys. It's not the formula. It doesn't work. It's not the NBA formula.
Well,
not today. Not today's game. You got to have young guns running up and down the court with young legs and spirit. They didn't have it. They had old guys.
I'll be interested to see what they do this offseason. There was the idea that they weren't going to go all in this past offseason because of the new CBA, because of it's Nick Nurse year one, and Tyrese Maxey's contract was going to be up, Tobias Harris's contract was going to be up. So that was a thought going into last offseason. This one's so much different. But my question for you today, it's 610-632-0975, phone line or text line. When you evaluate our teams, right, you evaluate the Phillies, the Flyers, the Sixers, the Eagles, do you almost ignore the negative signs? Because I know that I do that. Now, part of that is because I like to be more positive. Part of me may be I overvalue some aspects of teams. Like last year, I made this statement when the Eagles fell apart last season. I realized that talent doesn't always prevail. Like, you need to have a good vibe in the locker room. I know you scoff at vibes every once in a while.
Well,
but
if you're hitting 103, I think it is now.
But when the vibes are completely plummeted, like the Eagles last year, the Eagles had no vibes. Kenneth Gainwell, we played that clip from a few weeks ago. They straight up weren't talking to each other. Like, that's bad. Like, you can't have that kind of work environment.
Dissension.
Exactly. And so I think there's some things that we don't value well enough. There's some things that we overvalue or some things that we ignore. And to me, when it comes to negative signs with our teams, I do believe that I do that sometimes.
And the one thing is that, and let Conor be the arbitrator.
Okay.
I don't believe you do with the Eagles. I believe you do with the Sixers.
But I'm realizing that today with the Eagles when I did 13-4. I just gave you a 13-4 record on Friday.
I don't hear you do it with the Phillies. I think you, for as much as you love the Eagles and the Phillies, I think you still look at them with a very critical eye.
I do.
I don't believe you're the same fan with the Sixers.
Now, right now with the Phillies, I have nothing to say.
There's nothing to say.
Just keep on winning baseball
There's nothing
games.
to say. They're freaking unbelievable. I mean, it's the idea, though, is that as a fan, I think it's true that we can be different fans for different teams.
I agree.
And I think that because you were one of those process cosplayers, it stuck with you.
And it was the first team that had success in my life, which was probably a pretty big deal.
And it caused you to, like, that affection for it is there.
Allen Iverson's my favorite athlete of all time. Like, he's a superhero to me.
Like, to me, I've had a lot of guys my age tell me, the Buddy Ryan thing was so great. You make fun of it, you mock it, but it was such a great time because we were finally relevant. And I get that.
And I get that as well.
But that's like saying, I had this girlfriend and she was really great. And then my next girlfriend was better. And the next girlfriend treated me better.
Right.
So why are you still lamenting the first one?
And what should end that is the Eagles winning the Super Bowl. Like, here's the deal. The Sixers haven't won, right? So Iverson's still number one for me because there hasn't been a new team that has surpassed Allen Iverson in the Sixers. They haven't gotten out of the freaking second round.
So Iverson is still number one for you. Embiid has not passed it.
And I love Joel Embiid, but Allen Iverson.
But he hasn't passed it.
He's superhero for me.
Okay.
I don't think that's ever going to change.
And I fully understand that. I fully understand that part of it is. But the thing is, it should be, this is the time where your same scrutinizing eye should turn to the Sixers, and it seems like it is.
All right, so answer the question today, 610-632-0975. Do you ignore negative signs when it comes to evaluating your teams? Like, let's face it, this is a great conversation of, well, I put the green goggles on, or the Sixers blue, or the Phillies red, or the orange and black.
And do you believe that people are different for each team they root for?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, how many times have you heard the Flyers fan, right, over the Sixers fan, right? I mean, I think we all do that, and I do believe that we hold the Eagles to a totally different standard than the other teams.
A ridiculous standard.
And sometimes they don't get enough love because they are one of the more successful franchises in sports, let alone the NFL over the last 20 years. But yeah, I totally agree with you that there are people that handle teams differently.
And that is ends up being part of this discussion.
Yeah.
Of why people maybe put on the rose-colored glasses for one team.
So we would love to hear from you, 610-632-0975. Now, the other thing, the Phillies, they do it again. They sweep the Nationals. Saturday night, yeah, it looks like they might drop one. They win in extras. Bryce Harper with the sack fly.
Cody Clemens.
Yeah, Cody
Clemens
you're
is
right.
the guy.
You're right. I'm sorry.
He was the guy this weekend. He was
Had a good day
awesome this
yesterday,
weekend.
too.
He did.
was awesome.
It's unbelievable what he's done since getting called up.
I love it
back
for him.
up.
I love it for him because I absolutely did not see it coming.
No, of course not. He's playing second base for them yesterday.
I mean,
it's awesome.
I mean, he's unbelievable.
But this Phillies, I know the Nationals absolutely suck, but this Phillies team, they just continue to roll. They're 34-14.
The Nationals can, and Conor, I mean, I think the Nationals can pitch. They can pitch.
Kinda.
They don't have a bad pitching staff.
Well,
I mean, they have a good. They're coming around as a franchise. The Phillies just kicked them in the shack and sent them
Here's what
home.
we're going to learn about a lot of these teams. They're not that good. But
Right.
the reason the records are all right around 500 is because nobody is that good. There are like 4 good teams in baseball.
That's true. And the Phillies are
in the
one of them.
National League. In the National League, there's probably 3,
The Phillies are one of them.
maybe
which
2.5,
is great.
maybe 2.5.
We'll see.
So I have a question about the Phillies, or about sports. Believe it or not, Sports Talk Radio.
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
All right, so yesterday, Alec Boehm just five more RBI, right?
I love it.
It's a home run. It's great. I kind of mentioned this to you guys last week, off the air, and now I want to get into this on the air.
Yes.
There's an idea that the third baseman on a baseball team should hit, 25 to 30 home runs.
Absolutely.
Alec Boehm will never do that.
Never?
We've been saying this for years.
Right.
We've been waiting for Alec Boehm
We've been waiting for it.
to have
Right.
the big home run season.
Bro, he's as good as he's going to be, and he has not left the yard all that often.
Right, exactly. So let's see. He had 20 home runs last season. That's his career high, 20 home runs. I don't see him ever really getting to 25 or 30, right?
What did Reese get to most?
Mid-30s, upper
I
30s?
think so.
Did he reach a
35?
40?
40? He might have reached
yeah,
a 40.
like he was a-
you expect,
He was a power hitter.
It plays to this that you expect your corner infielders to
Right.
be guys that you pencil in. I would say you pencil in 25 to 30 for your corner infielders.
Right. Alec Boehm does not do that.
No.
But you know what he does? He just freaking drives in runs. League leader in RBI with 42 RBI this year, right? Like it's amazing.
Outstanding.
But a new school thought is, oh well, that's not good enough for you. You know, you need your corner infielder, even if he's not hitting 330. If he's hitting 250 but has 25 to 30 home runs at the end of the season, you have a good third baseman. If it works the way that it does right now, why fix it?
Well, there's nothing to fix.
But that's like a
With Alec
baseball
Boehm.
mindset.
No, there are people, though, who will wonder. I guarantee you there will be people who have the discussion about Alec Boehm because of the fact of those that.
Right. The fact that there's
is he
no
real?
power.
Is he real? Or we miss it? Is he really worth the big contract when it comes up
Right.
and things like that? There will be people that hold that against him and don't look at the run producer that he is. It's unbelievable.
He just
that
drives
it's
and runs.
It's May the 20th, and we're talking about Alec Boehm already with 42 runs.
But you
batted.
know there's a baseball nerd out there. And
there are lots
And
of
oh,
them.
by the way, it's
Yeah.
not just bloggers or, people on the radio. It's GMs. There are baseball nerds that run these baseball teams that probably look at Alec Boehm's numbers and go, yeah, man, it's great that he can hit singles, but he doesn't hit those home runs, doesn't drive the ball. And that drives me nuts that is an approach in Major League Baseball.
He's on pace for over 130 runs
It's
batted
ridiculous.
I mean, that's ridiculous. Last year he knocked in 97, which is pretty wild.
Yeah.
Because, again, you look at those numbers last year, 97. That's pretty great. But you just expect people want more than 20 home runs. I'm fine with the 97s much more
Absolutely.
to me.
Look, if
Means
you're
much
driving in
more to
runs,
me.
it doesn't matter how you're doing it. So I have another question for you. Question number 2 that I want to discuss, and I want you guys to think of some of these during the break. What new school or like modern thought of sports do you agree with? But what old school approach do you think still works? To me, driving in runs, no matter how you do it, still works. Like,
Yes.
Alec Boehm shows me that I don't need a 30 home run third baseman. As long as you're driving in runs, why should I care? But I know that there are baseball nerds that go, oh, well, you need to hit home runs if you're a third baseman. So what new school thought in sports do you agree with? And what old school thought do you think should still be around? A lot of evaluation talk today. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
I hope you all had a wonderful weekend. Welcome back. It's Memorial Day week, I guess.
I love
Is
hearing
this
that.
the week or is what would you
Memorial
categorize
Day-
as Memorial Day week?
I call this Memorial Day week because of the fact that
The
Friday,
build-up.
Friday, everybody builds towards Friday.
Yeah, okay.
And if I hear one person that corrects that, I've already heard two that have done that. Well, summer doesn't really start till June 21st.
Yeah, no, it's the unofficial start to summer.
Shush.
It's the unofficial start to summer. There's always an unofficial start to something.
Summer starts Friday.
Absolutely.
It starts Friday.
And then the weather will be crap. And
No, I'll tell you, it looks like Friday and Saturday look pretty nice.
Friday and Saturday do look nice. Monday, Memorial Day, actually doesn't look all that
Monday
great.
could be ugly, and Sunday could be ugly, but still.
Get down the shore early.
Get down there.
That's my advice. All right, so our initial topics today that I would love to get your input on the phone line, text line, social media. Of course, you can call in or text in 610-632-0975. When it comes to evaluating our teams, do you find yourself ignoring some of the negative signs? Because I find myself doing that every once in a while. Last year, I'll use the Eagles for an example. Last year, I was concerned about the middle of the field when it came to the defense. But I thought the offense was going to be so good that it wouldn't matter. Like, I always found a positive spin on everything. Even though I knew 5 new starters in the middle of the field on defense would be a bit of a problem, I still said, you know what? But this offense is going to be such a Lamborghini that we'll be fine. They're going to put up so many points that we're going to forget that the linebackers are even an issue. And through about 11 weeks, it did seem that way.
Well, no. They were still an issue,
They were.
but they were able to be.
They were able to overcome.
You thought like it sounded like you were nitpicking,
Right.
and that is how people depicted you when they were 10-1.
Yeah.
They're people. Just enjoy it, dude. They're 10-1. Oh my God, they're 10-1. And I like you want to have intelligent discussion, but people are like, well, all that matters is the record. No, it doesn't. Last year proved it. No, it doesn't.
It eventually proved it.
It did, but the thing is, if you didn't see the cracks.
I saw the cracks.
By the way, call Groundworks if you do.
Yes.
If you didn't see the cracks in the foundation, if you didn't see problems last year when they were on the way to 10-1, you were just being fanboy.
But there were cracks and problems with every team in the NFL last year.
Yeah, but
Every team had cracks and problems.
The Eagles were literally I don't think you could truly
Sustain that.
No.
And I
Well,
I remember asking that question if whether or not that team was sustainable, and a lot of people said no. And so, to a lot of Eagles fans' credit, they didn't think it was sustainable.
I don't know that premise is totally fair.
All right, go on.
The Chiefs went into the postseason with the exact same regular season record as the Eagles.
Yes.
They won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Now, I know we don't have Mahomes, but I think there's an argument to why. There's an argument to why people still believed in that team.
You know why? Because they had Batman. They had Batman. They had the guy. They did go in with the same record. But they also went in with Batman, and they went in with pedigree.
John, the year before, the Eagles' Batman outdueled their Batman in the Super Bowl.
Right,
That's true.
I think he did, even though when he fumbled his utility belt at the time when Joker was breaking out.
Okay, we could get off the Batman thing, but no, I know what you're saying. I'm just
No, but that's why you can't compare
That's
the two.
one thing.
You can't compare Mahomes to anybody else.
I can't rip Hurts for the fumble. It was such a fluke.
It was a
play.
fluke. No, but it was a fluke
It was
play.
so
but it
fluky.
ended up being.
Yeah, well,
that was the
it
difference
was a
in
big
the
moment.
game.
Well, that and then the Kadarius Toney punt return,
Which was
that
terrible.
Nobody
boy.
was ready for.
Terrible.
So, do you ignore negative signs when it comes to our teams when you evaluate them? Because I am almost ignoring the linebackers again, and I just said that the Eagles last week would go 13-4. I think a lot of people do that.
I don't think you're ignoring it. I think you're looking at it as, can we all agree, every NFL team has flaws.
Absolutely.
yes.
There's going to be a position group that you just don't address because you over-addressed here or there. I don't think you're – do you feel better about the linebacker room this May than last May?
I do,
Okay.
but
Then
I
to
don't.
me-
It's not like
No. You
I
don't
feel
feel
great.
you don't feel great about it, but at least they went and got some of that. What's that tape that the guy builds the canoes out of?
Flex Seal.
Flex Seal. Yeah.
They went into the Home Depot or Lowe's and they picked up some Flex Seal, and they went and they did some. They didn't do anything sexy,
Yeah.
but they went and they at least said, "Hey, we're gonna improve this. We're gonna do some improvements on this."
Listen,
I'm telling you, they need more than Flex Seal.
they need a lot more
But
than Flex
I'm telling you
Seal.
this: if the Eagles got adequate linebacker play, adequate middle of the road, adequate linebacker play, they're going to be the number 1 seed.
I could see that happening. It's just
they're
gotta
going to be the number 1 seed if they even have passable linebacker
Can it be passable and adequate? We'll find out. The other question I have for you guys, and I know John already jotted down like a million.
Oh, I've got
of
it
these.
done. Yeah, I got mine.
What is the new school approach of sports that you agree with? And then, of course, the new school approach that you disagree with, which means you still believe in an old school approach of sports. And I say new school versus old school just because that's easy to say. But I bring this conversation up because I saw Alec Boehm have another great weekend. I saw the guy driving 5 runs yesterday. He leads the league in RBI, but he only has 5 home runs, and he's probably not going to hit more than 20. And that's something that a lot of people go, oh, well, your third baseman needs to hit 25 to 30 home runs, if not more. Alec Boehm might not need to do that. But that's very old school of me to say that. So what is something new school versus old school that you believe in, Johnny?
New school versus old school that I believe in, that quarterback passing stats today don't matter.
Okay. Explain.
There are going to be such numbers. The quarterback numbers are about fantasy football. That you can see a Daniel Jones can go out there and throw for thing. I want to look at I actually like the QBR numbers.
Okay, I got you.
The analysis tools that say, what did your quarterback do? Jalen Hurts is never going to win the sexy sweepstakes.
No.
As far as throwing for Jalen Hurts will never throw for 5,000 yards.
Right.
Jalen Hurts can be a better quarterback throwing for 3,800 than a quarterback who throws for 4,800.
Well, who would you rather have, Jalen Hurts or Baker Mayfield?
I'd rather have Jalen Hurts.
Hurts
Conor?
easy.
Baker Mayfield threw for over 4,000 yards
And
last
so
year.
it's the kind of thing. It's the kind of thing where I believe in the new school metric of the QBR, and then there's the other one. There's the I forget the number.
Passer rating?
What is called passer rating.
Yeah.
I look at those more
Than overall
than I look at
statistics.
overall statistics because I think those are more for fantasy football players.
Yeah, one of the biggest beefs I have with people that evaluate Jalen Hurts is, oh, well, he only threw for 20-some touchdowns. All right, well, he ran in
for
like
23?
11. Yeah,
No, I think he had
exactly.
23 or something.
Like, he ran in a bunch, and then
Right,
he also
exactly.
orchestrates the offense downfield. Like, Derrick Henry's a beast, scores all those touchdowns. They got to get down the field first.
I don't
you know
care.
what I mean? Like
I don't care about that.
No, exactly.
I believe in the new school, and it is, and I will tell you, it's one of the only new school
yeah,
metrics.
you're definitely more old school.
It's definitely one of the only new school metrics that I absolutely say buy into it 100% because I see too many trash quarterbacks
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of them.
that could throw for more yards than Jalen Hurts.
Right.
It means nothing.
You brought
it
up
might
James,
mean,
you brought up Jameis Winston last week. He's a prime example.
It might mean Daniel Jones. It might mean that you've got guys who can throw. Oh, wow, Daniel Jones had a 300-yard game. Yeah, he was down 17-3.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And he threw every down, and the other team played prevent defense because they were up by 20.
And that's a new school approach
And
as
so, yeah,
well.
right, exactly.
I mean, prime example. I think he did it with Atlanta. Matt Schaub, did he throw for like 500 yards in a game?
Matt Schaub had an amazing. I mean, it's
An amazing game, but it's not like Matt Schaub was. Nobody's
No.
saying that Matt Schaub was this
No.
big quarterback to have, but he put up big numbers sometimes.
It's the pride of Westchester East. You better watch your mouth.
Connor, what is an old school or new school thing that you look at that you value higher? Then I know we have a text on this. Would love to hear from it. 610-632-0975.
Dude, the old school thing, it's so easy for me. If you are bigger and faster and stronger, you're probably the better athlete. There's so many times where people try and sell you in every sport now. Well, this guy tested well in this. Well, this guy's numbers say this. It's the one thing Chip Kelly had right. Bigger people beat up smaller people.
Yeah.
And I don't want to hear that the 6'3", 250 linebacker that can run a 4.3 is actually...
Well, man, you got to cover sideline to sideline, Connor.
Is actually worse than the 5'10 guy that's 180.
Got to cover sideline to sideline.
Listen, I don't care. We did this with DK Metcalf. We've done this with a billion athletes
Yes.
recently because you see all these analytics that say, oh, well, this big, strong, fast guy is not actually big, strong, and fast. And it's the dumbest thing in the world.
I remember hearing a story about the Eagles not signing a wide receiver who I don't think is in the league anymore, but that's for other reasons, off the field issues.
Okay.
He may have gone to Temple. But this wide receiver who was like a walking 8 to 10 touchdowns a season, the Eagles did not sign him because they didn't like his catch radius. He was a deep threat, but they didn't like his catch radius in traffic. Well, you don't have to force feed it to the speed threat, Robbie Anderson. You didn't have to do that.
But what was that? Oh, yeah.
Like, you could have just, had him on the field for other reasons. But analytically, they said no, and then I think he scored 10 touchdowns like the next season, or had 8 touchdowns the next season. Like that's an issue with me too.
There's ones like that. Yeah, there could be problems like that. I mean, he had other.
Yeah, he had other issues.
He had other issues.
What do you got on the text line there, Connor?
Yeah, so we have a check-in here on this for looking at what the new school has. The new school stat that this texter likes, no name on this one, I like is that pitching wins don't matter, and ERA and other stats are a better indicator of a pitcher. The new school thing that they cannot stand, though, is the WAR stats. So a couple baseball numbers there.
WAR's ridiculous.
Yeah, WAR is ridiculous.
WAR's ridiculous.
You see people post, like Ryan Howard's WAR was far less than some middle-of-the-road first baseman, right? Like, people do that stuff all the time, and I freaking hate it. But, yeah, ERA is, like, wins and losses should not be a stat for pitchers. My dad still struggles with that.
Well, wait a minute. Why should wins and losses not be?
It's not there. It's not on there.
Because Taijuan Walker could allow 6 earned runs and win 7-6 and
no, he could,
earn the W.
But the stat should still be there.
Well,
But it should be evaluated properly.
In my lifetime, I've seen 2 Cy Young Award winners finish below 500. Jacob deGrom and Felix Hernandez. It's not their fault
yeah,
that
but
they
the stat should still be.
It's not Jacob deGrom's fault that he allowed 1 run and lost 1-0.
And his run support was like 2.95 runs.
He was his own run support a lot of the time.
Yeah, Taijuan Walker was your team leader and he had 15 wins last year.
Right, and my dad goes, "Oh man, Walker still at least had 15 wins last year." I'm like, "Yeah, but it doesn't look like a 15-win pitcher."
Well, if we're going to go there, before you get rid of wins, get rid of the stupid quality start stat.
I got you.
And I wish we had.
I like quality start better than wins.
I wish the late great Don Sutton was still with us, because Don would. You could just put a little cocktail in front of Don, a little glass of wine,
and he'd tell you
have
the
him
truth.
just go off about the stupid quality start stat, because he goes, in my era that would not have been a quality start. It's the fact of garbage pitching has now made that into being quality. It's not a quality start. It's not. It's not a good start.
It depends. It's not a quality start for Zach Wheeler, but it's a quality start for.
Well, yeah, your 5th starter.
Spencer
maybe.
Turnbull.
Yes,
right,
absolutely.
exactly. Well, maybe not Spencer Turnbull. Well, he's an ace.
They've managed to screw up Spencer Turnbull, which, boy, who could have seen that coming?
I don't think they've screwed much up, John. They're 20 games over 500.
All right, we want to get more of your
Turnbull.
reaction. 610-632-0975. Call in or text in. Do you ignore negative signs when you evaluate your teams? And also, the old school versus new school in sports. What do you agree with? What you do not agree with? This stems off of Alec Boehm only having 5 home runs this season, Johnny.
He's underachieving, isn't he?
Yeah, because he only has 5 home runs. We want to get more of your reaction coming your way next. It's Kincade and Salciunas right here, 97.5, The Fanatic.
The real and inside story on the Phillies is on the best show ever.
Kincade Salciunas on this beautiful Monday morning. A Fanatic Monday presented by Pierce Phelps, Bryant Heating and Air Conditioning Contractors. Visit nopaybryant.com for flexible spending options on a new heating and cooling system. I read this off our sheet that Brendan Gunn puts together. Holy hell, this is our 46th show together already?
It is.
Oh, my God.
We have 50 on Friday, heading into summer.
That's amazing.
Heading into summer.
46 shows already. I want to thank everybody who's been involved with us, new listeners or people that carried over from mornings or came over with me from middays, and, of course, our great YouTube audience, everybody listening on the stream and on your commute to work. So we appreciate it. Can't believe it's been 46 shows already. I only regret a little bit of it.
Just a few.
Just a few.
But we're all right then.
No, things are great.
We're all right.
All right, so I know I got you fired up about this new school versus old school thing because I know there's one specifically that I know you're going to bring up. I don't even want to say it. I just know that you're going to bring it up at some point. Hell, you could bring it up this segment for all I know. But
you know that I'm going to write it down. Write it down.
All right.
And I won't look. I won't
All
look. Just write it down, and I will not look.
There's no ink in this.
I will not look.
There we go.
Well, I can't help it if you have bad pens. You
All
need
right.
Sharpies.
So,
by the way,
yeah, I know. You're Mr. Sharpie over
fine
there.
folks at Sharpie. Appreciate you.
So our two main topics today. Do you ignore negative signs when it comes to evaluating your team? I'll expand more on this in the 7 o'clock hour because John actually put together a piece for our website, 975thefanatic.com, that might actually play into this conversation about evaluating, maybe evaluating Jalen Hurts. Do you ignore some of the negative signs when it comes to evaluating your team? 610-632-0975. And then the new school versus old school approach. John and I wrote this down as a topic last week that we were going to get into at some point because we're reaching that summer, right, where there's not breaking news every 5 seconds. And there's no Eagles games to react to just yet.
The Phillies keep sweeping
They just keep beating everybody, so what does it matter? You know, what talking point is there for the Phillies other than the best team in baseball? But Alec Boehm yesterday drives in 5 more runs. But I know a nerd will look at his stats and go, oh, yeah, it's great and all that he hits 330 and drives in 42 RBIs, but he only has 5 home runs. And there is a new school approach of, I would rather you hit 190 and hit 50 home runs. Kyle Schwarber, look, would he have ever been a leadoff hitter in any other generation?
Never.
Any other era in baseball?
Never.
Nah.
So
never.
Is that a good thing? Is it a bad thing? I don't really know. I hate it, but I'm a baseball old school purist kind of guy. So I hate Kyle Schwarber batting leadoff.
So do I.
I always have. I know it works. I know it works.
Whoa. You know the Phillies win.
The Phillies win.
You do not know. No,
that means it works.
No, it does not. It does not. If Conor has chocolate milk every morning for breakfast and he doesn't get stuck in traffic, it does not mean that if he has chocolate milk, that affects whether he gets stuck in traffic.
Right, if I do it for a week.
It does not show.
What happens if I do it for 3 years straight, John?
It does not show cause and effect. That is not the cause or the effect of it.
It does.
No, it
It is a
doesn't.
big enough sample size at this point that it does, and you guys
Conor,
ain't
there are
let it go.
They keep on winning.
There
John.
are professors who actually study statistics and teaching.
Okay, well,
that are hearing you right now and they're going, what the hell is he talking about?
And there are
It does
people who
not
watch this
affect it.
baseball team hearing you thinking, what the hell are you talking
You
about?
may say, you think, well, I saw it, so it has to mean it.
John, I hate it, but they do keep on winning.
But they
keep on winning. It works.
I love that they win, but it does not mean that that's the reason that they win. It's ridiculous.
Okay.
It's absolutely absurd that's the reason they win.
You sound insane right now.
If they moved Schwarber to 2, they would have won. They would have won 6 less games. BS. There's absolutely no science that says that. There's no math that says that. There's no stats that say that.
John.
How many games did Schwarber go bat leadoff and they won, and he went 0 for 3? Then he went 1 for 4.
I probably walked,
and did
though.
nothing. I mean, it does not, it is not the cause and effect. Is it a contributing factor? Hell yeah. It's a contributing factor.
Right. Is it a
to an
positive contributing factor to this team?
It could be. Sure, it could be.
It is. It clearly is. What are you watching that says it possibly could not be? My head's going to explode.
It's not. Is it that because
Good. It's your turn.
It is great.
It's your turn for your head to explode.
The Schwarber leadoff stuff. It is not. There is none. Just for you again. And yes. And any professor of statistics that
I
would
don't
like
care
to check
about
in.
professors.
There is no such thing.
I don't either.
Well,
The
there's no
professors
such,
didn't care about me either, if we're being honest.
There's no science of statistics that
Science
tells
is stupid.
you.
Baseball
that
is smart.
that
Kyle
if he-
Schwarber is good.
If he bats leadoff, like right now, honestly, if you look at it, the Phillies, they have the best record in baseball. And this may be. I saw Ty Johnson talk about it yesterday on Twitter, and he's going to talk about it today on Best Show Ever. He is at the point where he's thinking, this may be the best Philly sports team he's ever seen. And he's going to talk about it today.
Interesting. Okay.
But I'm looking at it and I said, if we had said this to you 10 years ago, that the Phillies lineup yesterday would have had a guy hitting 231, 214, 207, 194, 188, 103, we'd be going, how the hell are the Phillies the best team in baseball?
Yeah.
But that's
Because it's
the sport, too.
It's the sport.
Yeah.
Has absolutely been like, yeah, it doesn't matter anymore.
No, it doesn't.
Batting average doesn't matter anymore.
Which, I'll be honest, I disagree with.
I disagree with also.
And I know it's an
Completely
old
disagree.
school, archaic thing.
I completely disagree.
But there's things like Alec Boehm is hitting 330.
Well, he's hitting 330.
I
so
know,
he's
but Alec
been-
Boehm only has 5 home runs.
I
There are
gotcha.
people that cover baseball that would probably go, well, I would rather have the 250 hitting third baseman that hits 35 home runs.
Right.
Whereas I might rather have the 330 guy that finishes around 20 home runs but drives in 120 RBI.
Like, remember when we were worried about Johan Rojas?
What do you mean we?
No, I mean, I was a Rojas. I had the Rojas stamp on my behind. I was all for it.
feel like
where
two
now
out of
he's
the three
hitting,
of us were.
where he's now hitting ahead of Castellanos, Schwarber, Stubbs,
Yeah, he's
Pache,
better batting
Merrifield.
average.
Also, too, remember we were worried about Rojas with 14 runs batted in. JT Realmuto has 16.
Okay.
Has 16.
JT Realmuto's is on base for Johan Rojas. Somebody's got to drive
I mean,
in.
16. It's terrible.
All right, give me a text. What's another old school versus new school before we continue?
All right. Kyle from Quakertown checks in here, says, new school can't stand new advanced stats in basketball that say people are good at defense, but in actuality, they are a turnstile when you
That's your
watch them.
boy, Matisse freaking Thybulle.
All right, calm down.
He sucked. I'm sorry. He sucked. He would get beat off the dribble every single time. Every single time. And every once in a while, to his credit, he would recover and
he'd get a steal.
And he'd get the swipe from behind. Okay, that's one out of 10 times. That means the other 9 times the guy beat him, and the NBA player that beat him has an open look.
That's
He
not
sucked.
that's not Matisse Thybulle.
Yeah.
He was not as good as people thought he was, but that's not him. Right?
People.
There
Look
are some
yourself in the
dudes out
mirror,
there-
Connor.
there are some dudes out there that can't play defense.
I got you. That's
That
true.
are-
And
that
yet
are told
they're
they're good.
considered that they're good at defense. All right, I want more reaction to this. The old school versus new school. And I know a lot of the new school is better, but there are some things where I go, you know what? Give me the 330 hitting third baseman, not the 250 hitting third baseman, just because they hit more home runs. All right, a lot of evaluating today. Our first question was whether or not we ignore certain things when it comes to our teams. Well, you did some research over the weekend.
Yep.
On Jalen Hurts against the blitz. Are we ignoring something, or are we setting ourselves up for a better season? We'll discuss that next. A lot more for you on this Fanatic Monday on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. heating and air conditioning contractors. Visit nopaybrine.com for flexible spending options and a new heating and cooling system. I'm Andrew Salciunas. Jeez, every time I go to say my name,
What's going on with
I
it?
stumble.
You sound like you're having a stroke when you're trying to say
Last week we did a promo. I couldn't say my freaking name.
Salciunas.
Do you want to change it? Legally, you're able to.
I guess I could, but I'm okay. It's all I know at this point in my life. I don't really want to change it.
If you did, what would you change it to?
I don't know. Bill?
No.
Something easy?
Not Andrew. It's the Salciunas that's tripping you up.
I think Andrew's
It's your
the easy part.
Lithuanian heritage that's tripping you up.
Yes. It
So I
sure
think
is.
you got to find what would be, you know what? If people want to text in.
No, don't do that.
Yes. If people want to text in,
I
what
don't know if we're
Andrew's,
gonna like
No,
those
what
because,
should
ones.
Andrew's,
because here's the deal. I would rather actually have sports conversation on the text line so that Conor doesn't have to cipher through
what should
names.
Andrew's radio name be? And you can tweet us too. What should Andrew's radio name be?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to read 40 texts of Andrew,
exactly.
Andrew Deuce-Chunas now.
If I went down the hall, I'd be
Wait a minute. I texted that one just a second ago. You already read that one?
If I went down the hall, I'd be Andy Sale.
You be Andy Sale?
If I went down the hall at
be
at the
that.
country station, yeah, I could change it if I needed to.
You
but
could.
I don't want to. I'm okay. All right, so if you're just tuning in, we have two topics that we're diving into today, and I know Johnny Sharpie over there has already written down a million things.
Oh, yeah.
And there is one I did write it down. There is one thing that I know you are absolutely going
Really?
to bring up at some point during this show.
Really?
And if you don't, I will get to it at the end of the show
Okay,
because
good.
I know you're going to. But we have two main topics today that we would love to hear from you at 610-632-0975. Number one, when it comes to evaluating our favorite teams, do we find ourselves ignoring some of the negative things or some of the things that could hold your team back? Now, I am somebody that would rather not look for cracks in the armor, but look for the reasons why my team will overcome struggles. I do that. I did that with the
Okay.
Eagles last year.
Okay.
I do that with the Phillies. I know that the Phillies last year struck out a lot and relied on the home run a lot, but the fact that they can hit home runs and the fact that they pitch so well and their bullpen's so good, I ignored some of their flaws with their lineup last season. Look, those flaws still got you to an NLCS. It's just unfortunate that they didn't get the job done.
Things are, I like to use the expression that I was taught by some very wise baseball people back in the day.
Okay.
Things that you think don't matter until
Okay.
they matter.
Until they matter, right? Exactly.
Until you're playing the Dodgers or the Braves or the Yankees in a postseason series,
Right.
and those little things matter.
Then they start to matter.
That's when they matter. They don't matter against the Nationals,
Right.
Marlins. That's not mattering then.
No, it's
they're going to
against some bigger clubs.
They're going to
right.
matter in October.
Now, the reason why I even had this topic idea, we did W's and we didn't do W's and L's, but we
So
gave
you found a creative way to do W's and L's.
we gave our records for the Eagles' schedule last week, and I got to 13-4, and if anything, I could see them falling to 12-5. I don't think there's a single person at this station that had them with 10 or less wins. Did you hear anyone say 10 wins?
Somebody.
I don't.
No, I don't think anybody.
I don't
had-
think anybody at
had
this
less
station.
than- I think
Morning, midday, afternoon, evening, weekend. I don't remember hearing anybody say 10 wins or less.
if this team doesn't win 10, though,
No, it's
so you're not ripping
Heads will
somebody
roll.
for not picking them.
no, but we are almost ignoring the fact that the linebackers are still an issue.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, this team had structure issues last season.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I think a lot of us are just going to say, "Oh, they'll be better next year." That'll be fixed.
The Eagles could have called groundworks.
Right, exactly, because there were cracks all over the place, not just your basement. But I'm ignoring the fact that I wanted Nick Sirianni fired when I give that record. Right, like I literally wanted the head coach removed.
You did.
I'm worried still about what goes on inside that locker room because clearly they fell apart and things were not going well between person to person. I'm still worried about the linebackers, and yet 12-5, 13-4, because I'm ignoring that stuff.
I think what you're saying is you saw that team be good enough to be 10-1, and they look like they've improved various parts of their roster.
Okay, but did they improve what's going on in the locker room? Is Jalen Hurts improved as a leader?
We do not know. We do not know that.
Right.
But we're hoping that what they were really bad at is going to be improved. Plus, we now think, and I know that I do, there are adults in the room that weren't there last year.
I think that's an important part.
And
Yes.
to me that's the biggest part.
Right. And then the other thing in terms of evaluation, I watched the Timberwolves come from behind and beat the Nuggets. I watched the Mavericks beat the Thunder over the weekend. The Celtics moved on a while ago. I watched the Pacers win.
That was awesome.
And all those teams, their best player is a guard or a wing. And it makes me think, all right, can the Sixers win with Joel Embiid? But then I go, maybe can Joel Embiid win but not as the number one option at all times? Like, there might need to be more Tyrese Maxey games. You might have to have that.
Isn't it too early to be doing the? Now I understand it's the Miami Shaq model,
Right.
Isn't it too early for that?
It might be, or is it time
Or are you
for
feeling
Maxey?
desperate?
Maxey's going to be a max player, so why shouldn't I expect more out of him? I see Embiid improve every single year. Maxey's improved every single year.
He has.
Why can't at some point Maxey take over?
Well, he may. I mean, that's not bad. I mean, he may.
If you watch the rest of the NBA, you go, man, they don't
look like
the Sixers don't look like those other teams, and that's the sad thing. And I ignore that sometimes because I do believe, and it's true. A lot of times, Joel Embiid is the best player on the court, and Tyrese Maxey is like the Sixers, talent-wise, had more talent than the New York Knicks, but they lost the series.
They did.
They lost the series, and ultimately that's what matters.
And the Indiana Pacers beat them.
But I don't know if the Sixers beat the Pacers. I don't know.
I do.
I don't know if the Sixers would have beaten the
They
Pacers.
didn't play them well this year.
No, they didn't.
No, what I'm saying is that there's another team that has managed to do something that the Sixers can't do.
Get out of the second round. It sucks.
The Indiana Pacers are in an Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah.
It tells you how inadequate this organization has been.
Well, you should have kept T.J. McConnell.
Yeah. Look,
Not to
man,
tell you.
that guy's a catalyst right there. All right.
You could smoke him in a.
That's what
cover
Conor
him.
said.
Damn
You
right.
could handle him one-on-one.
All right, and then the other topic that we're getting into today is about, our teams that we love so dearly in this city, but the examples of old school and new school in sports. So
Okay.
forget our teams for a second. Old school versus new school in sports. And I think there are probably baseball nerds that go, Alec Boehm shouldn't be a staple on a baseball team because he only hits 20 home runs. The guy's hitting over 300, leads the league in RBI. So what new school versus old school things do you believe in? Would love to hear from you, 610-632-0975. And I know you're going to get to one at some point. And I'm looking
anxious
forward
to hear
it.
which one, because I'm baffled as to what you think I'm going to lead you to.
All right, before we get to more text reaction, so you did some deep diving in Jalen Hurts against the blitz?
Well, I also went into. Well, I really, honestly, I credited in the piece that I wrote and what I shared with you guys. If you don't follow Robert Mays on Twitter, you're missing out.
Is that the? That's Billy Mays.
No,
Sorry.
Robert Mays is not.
All right,
no, he's not.
R.I.P.
Yeah, you
He's
can't
not the
follow
flex.
Mays
anymore.
Not the Flex Seal guy. What?
No, he
Billy
was-
Mays was the other one.
OxyClean.
OxyClean.
Yeah.
Come on.
Okay, Robert Mays hosts the Athletics football show.
Okay.
But
Robert Mays here.
But really, really has some great stuff. You should follow him on Twitter.
All right.
Just spell it Mays. He had a number that made my jaw drop and then made me go and do research on it.
Okay.
Last season, it's third down, passing situation. It's just any third down.
Mm-hmm.
The Eagles were blitzed on average 45% of the time. That was first in the NFL. The gap between them and the second team, how often that they were blitzed, that number is as big as the gap between the second team and the 18th team.
Wow, really?
The 18th
How big?
team.
With percentage-wise?
It's huge. I think it's. I'm gonna go 8.
Okay.
It is. I think it's 8. I mean, I get the exact number for you. But the idea being, the Eagles were blitzed so often on third down. So as we had the conversation, I ask you, in your mind, when I tell you that they're being blitzed almost half the time.
Yeah, on third down.
Is that a reflection of Jalen Hurts?
I still go coaching staff.
Well, it's got to be both.
No, it has to be both. But what do you think
You're right.
primarily?
But I go coaching staff because I watched the Vikings game. I watched Brian Flores.
Right.
I watched both Giants games. What was his name? The defensive coordinator.
Wink Martindale.
Wink Martindale. I watched the wild card game against Todd Bowles. That's
Okay.
4 games, but 3 defensive coordinators where they blitz first down, second down, and third down. talk about old school versus new school approach. The new school approach of let's play 10 yards off the line of scrimmage on third down and let them make a fourth and third manageable, which I think is ridiculous because of how teams go for it on fourth down nowadays. I do like bringing some pressure on third down. You also know who does it. And the fact that the Eagles had no game plan. It's not Jalen Hurts missed open receivers. Sometimes that happened, but there were no game plans. Jalen Hurts right away is running backwards on third downs because of the lack of protection, the lack of a hot read. I think Brian Johnson and Nick Sirianni really struggled with that last year.
I think absolutely. I first go to Brian Johnson and the offensive game plan, and then I go to Jalen Hurts. They also saw an advantage in putting Jalen Hurts under pressure as a passer.
But,
all right. Okay, go on.
Here's the thing on that, though, too, right? Because you're right. I agree with both of you. In 2022, it's not like people didn't try it. It just wasn't as effective. I
think because the coaching was better.
Exactly. They didn't just learn in 2023 that, we can blitz Jalen Hurts.
How about he was blitzed like 40-something% more?
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's unbelievable. Now, they were 20th against the blitz last year. 20th in expected yards against the blitz, which is terrible, considering the offensive line.
Bottom third of the league.
Considering the offensive line, considering the offensive talent, considering a quarterback who got paid as a
franchise
an elite.
quarterback. Yeah.
That's terrible. Here is your great news for your Monday morning.
Okay.
Or your bad news. Depends on how you look at it. Kellen Moore, every year he's been an offensive coordinator. His offense is top 5 on average against the blitz.
Oh, that's great news.
Could be. Dak was number 1 against the blitz in 2022. Kellen Moore with Justin Herbert in his first year. Justin Herbert, first year, him and Jalen Hurts are contemporaries, peers. His first year, Justin Herbert goes to 6th against the blitz. Shows huge improvement.
Yeah.
No excuses.
Well, of course. You know where I am.
But there is no excuses because Kellen Moore's system has shown every single year it's been a top 10 season against the blitz that he's been an offensive coordinator, averaging out to being top 5 against the blitz for his career. And, again, Justin Herbert, a contemporary of Jalen Hurts, who had to learn Kellen Moore's system, who had to, I got a new offensive coordinator.
Yep.
All of a sudden takes this huge jump and is great against the blitz. I don't want to hear any excuses if this doesn't work.
So basically your thesis is if the Eagles struggle against the blitz this year offensively, it's Hurts and not Kellen Moore.
It's Hurts.
Because there's data to back it up.
It's got to be Hurts because this system has worked. And by the way, again, Justin Herbert, contemporary of Jalen Hurts, never, ever had to use the excuse of, new offensive coordinator. I got to learn a new system. I don't want to hear it because last year he learned the system under Kellen Moore and took a huge jump. And I would tell you, Justin Herbert did not have the Eagles' offensive line that they've got this year. And also, Justin Herbert doesn't have the overall offensive talent around him.
Right.
That Jalen Hurts.
No, I mean, the Eagles'
excuses.
weapons are so much better.
There's no excuses.
Austin Eckler looked like he was dying last year.
I mean, seriously.
I think you're right, but let me just ask this. I'm just seeing this other option. Is there a chance there's a third thing it could be on that's not the coaching staff and not Jalen Hurts if it doesn't go poorly this year? I was thinking more just like replacing Jason Kelce, but that's where my mind goes.
Well, how about this? Is the percentage of blitzes that came between the tackles, that came right up the middle on him, was the highest that I saw on the as far back as I could look and find any stat that would list it. The Eagles were vulnerable there last year.
Because they would force Hurts to roll to his right. And you saw it how many times? Almost every single play, it seemed like.
And that's what they were trying to get him to do. But he faced a ton of pressure there, and that's with Jason Kelce there.
It's fascinating stuff.
All I can tell you is, Robert Mays, congratulations, because you got me going down the rabbit hole. Great work.
And you're doing your deep dive, 97.5thefanatic.com?
It's on, yes, and it'll be up there today.
All right, well, we'll be checking it out. All right, Conor, what do we have text line, reaction to our topics today? When it comes to evaluating our teams, do you ignore the negative things a lot more often than not? I know Logical John probably doesn't, but I know myself, I do ignore it a lot of the times. What do you do when you evaluate your teams? And also the examples of old school versus new school. Before we get a text, I have a tweet. Our man Kevin Service checks in, old school versus new school. That drives him nuts in the Delaware Valley. Quote, Embiid needs to be down the block. Said 1, he's at his best, face up mid-range, and 2, he still posts up more than any player. Tall guys don't just play back to the basket anymore. He's spot on about that.
No, he's spot on.
Like, a guy like Jahlil Okafor, sure, should have his back to the basket and go down the block. But that's not the direction of the NBA anymore. Again, some things change because of the sports.
And again, what you said today bothers me big time because I find myself saying it about the Sixers more than anything. I can't see the Sixers don't look anything like the young, entertaining teams of basketball.
Well,
They don't look.
They could look.
They
so,
could. I mean, of course they
John,
could.
you're talking about continuity a lot. That's one of the things that you love.
That's what Joel wants.
Very little continuity on the Pacers.
No,
Halliburton got
absolutely.
traded there last year.
And a
They
brilliant coach.
traded for Pascal Siakam in the middle of this season, and they're in the Eastern Conference Finals. So it's not like it's always about continuity. Sometimes it's just about having the right pieces around you. And right now, the Indiana Pacers have the right pieces around them, and the Sixers didn't. So hopefully, it's up to Daryl Morey. He's got the big canvas,
And
man.
It's a lot of how many of those Pacers spots were changed over in one off season? You know?
Yeah, but that's the thing, right? So you can go all in for a year. We saw Toronto do it in 19.
And
That's
they
not that
won.
old. And get a star. You can do it with a big man. We saw Denver do it with Jokic. They had the right pieces. You could do it with guards. You could do it with 3 stars. It hasn't been that long since we've seen that work, even though it hasn't recently. Here's the question, though. Are the Sixers just cursed? Because every other team has proven they could do it every other way, but the Sixers can't.
Yeah, maybe. All right, what do we got on the text line there, Connor?
All right, Hassan from West Philly checks in and
What's up,
says,
What's up, son?
the new school approach I like is perimeter basketball, probably because it's by era, but better free flow and offense should be run through guards or wings.
Yeah, and that's the only way you can keep up.
That's kind of
Like, you have to hit threes nowadays.
Dude, I love it. I agree with Hassan 100%. That's one of my favorite developments in a game in my lifetime. Is just it's so much more fun to watch than back somebody down
I agree.
and hit a bank shot.
I agree. I think there's an art to it, and I know there's people that don't like it. I think you said there's too many threes sometimes.
I think there's way too many threes.
And look, sometimes when it's
Like
a two on 0 and somebody's pulling up from 3,
Love
like
it.
that's
there's
not,
nothing
that's
I
kinda
hate.
ridiculous.
There's nothing I hate worse than it's like there's 18 seconds left on the shot clock, and someone runs out and just pulls up and takes a 3. I'm just like, come on.
But if
And
they're
a low-
open, shoot
and
it, kid.
and a low percentage 3.
Well, yeah, I mean, if it's low percentage, that is a
And
bad thing.
it's just rushed.
I'll give you one from basketball, and
Okay.
it's low percentage, sometimes low percentage, that I don't like.
What's that?
And I don't know when they started doing it. I remember it majority of my life, but it's bigger now.
What's that?
The 2-for-1 at the end of a quarter.
Oh, yeah.
I
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
understand.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
I understand doing it, but there are too many times where a guy will chuck up a bad shot in hopes that it goes in and having that second opportunity. If you chuck up a bad shot and it doesn't go in, what value did it bring you?
Okay.
I hate that. Like,
No, I
honestly,
got you.
the 2-for-1, I don't like, because far often players are like, oh, I got to get the shot up. There's 25 seconds left on the shot clock. I got to chuck it up real quick. And then it's a bad shot. Mathematically, I understand it,
No, I get it.
but I do think it's actually a terrible idea sometimes.
That's not
I've
a bad
seen more
one.
bad shots in the 2-for-1 than good shots. Could you agree?
I know what you're saying.
No.
I think there's an understanding of what it gives you mathematically, and that's why they do it. But
Okay, but if it's a bad
visually,
shot and it doesn't go in, what did it really do for you?
you're going to have even possession anyway, so you're taking a free chance to shoot. So even if it's a bad shot, it's a shot you're getting that the other
Yeah,
team
and then
is.
sometimes that second possession is only like 2 seconds.
Well, that's why you try and hoist a bad shot to get it
Oh,
off
God.
quickly.
Yeah, hoist a bad shot.
I
You're
know.
literally saying hoist a bad shot? That's not good.
I don't like it. I'm saying mathematically they can explain it.
All right, I want to get more of your reaction on this. 610-632-0975. Our topics today when it comes to evaluating our teams, do you ignore some of the negative? And then the examples of old school versus new school in sports. And I'm going to see if John has one written down.
I do.
It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
6:30 on Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. We're going to check our text line again coming up in a little bit. But, boys, I have a challenge for a specific group of Phillies fans this week. A challenge.
Huh?
So I just heard Bob.
You're throwing a challenge.
Yeah. I heard Bob
Okay.
mention it in his promo. And I know you and I, when we did our promo on Friday, mentioned something similar leading up until this week. The Phillies just took care of business against the Washington Nationals, swept them. They will now host the defending World Series champions of the Texas Rangers. For all of you schedule people,
This is big.
They haven't beaten anybody. If they win this series, take 2 of 3, I need for you to start buying into the Phillies a little bit more.
Okay, I'm not a standings guy.
I got you.
I do know though from watching baseball that the Rangers have been struggling.
They're 500.
Okay, so they're 500. If I think people will use, it's going to be damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Really?
Yes, I guarantee it. If they beat the Rangers, they're going to go, well, the Rangers are a 500 team. That's what it's going to be.
But they're the defending World Series champions.
No. They will absolutely move the goalpost on this
What is
team.
it going to take? What is it going to take?
You know what it's
Seriously,
gonna
what
take?
is it going to take for the
it's gonna
scheduled people to shut up?
It's going to take July for when you play the Dodgers and the Braves.
But you know what's going to be annoying? If they struggle in those series. See, this is why I was
Well,
okay.
whoa.
Yeah, but it's a 162-game season.
I get you.
You got to win. You got to pile up wins.
But who you got to beat who do you got
Those
to beat in
guys.
October?
Yeah, those guys.
Okay, and who's better in October?
The Phillies.
Doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, except to play Diamondbacks.
Well, then
I mean,
we're
seriously,
talking
like
about.
you can't do that.
The Dodgers are perennial playoff chokers. The Braves are perennial playoff chokers. The Phillies are perennial playoff overachievers.
See now the weird thing is that maybe it's because they played the Phillies, but I don't look at the Braves as choking the last 2 years. I look at the fact that I think the Phillies like just literally throat
Caught
stomp
fire,
them.
yeah.
And they throat stomp them. When the Braves, I think the 4 games that were played here in October, I think the Phillies have scored 41 runs. The 2 games in 22.
Sounds about
And the
right.
2 games in 23. I believe it's 41 runs. I may be off. It's something. It certainly felt like it.
Right.
They just rampaged the Braves. I don't think anyone was saying the Braves were choking.
Not here, but I guarantee you nationally.
I'm sure in Atlanta they're definitely saying that they choked.
They were the better. No, they really didn't though. You know what they said?
The better team won.
No, you know what they said is that the playoffs aren't fair.
Oh, okay.
So
they made excuses.
The fact that they make the division winner take the rest, that system isn't fair.
I almost said a bad word, so I have to calm down a little bit here.
That's what they use.
I need the Phillies to win the division this year and then beat
prove
the
them.
Braves
And then prove
just to prove them wrong.
just
That'd
to
be
prove
great.
wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
So I want to know, like, for those of you who are the scheduled people that are like, oh, they haven't beaten anybody yet. They always try to throw the wet blanket on us when we talk about the Phillies. When
Pump
we're
the brakes,
excited,
dude.
the pump the brakes people. All right, they have a big series against the defending World Series champions. So this should be a series where you're locked in, and if they take care of business and take 2 of 3, I don't care if the Rangers are a 500 baseball team. The Rangers are the defending World Series champions. I think you got to start giving the Phillies credit if they take care of business this series. If they don't take care of business, then we'll have that conversation when the time comes.
If anybody's not giving them credit, they're literally just trying to troll.
That could be.
I mean, when we get to Sunday night, after the Rockies series this week, they go to Colorado for the weekend. After Sunday night, so by the time you go to bed, when I wake up next Memorial Day, Monday morning, and I pull up my Phillies, my MLB app,
Yeah.
and I look at the standings, you're a third of the way through the season. It is way too far in to be doing, well, it's early. You're a third of the season done. That is enough data to be able to say, wow, man,
Wow, this is a good
team's pretty
baseball
good.
team.
This team's pretty good.
Yep,
That
absolutely.
team's pretty good.
All right, Conor, what do we have coming in on the text line? We also have a conversation going on about old school versus new school, and I think I'm going to have John give me one before we get to the text,
All right.
actually. And there's one that I have written down that I know you're going to get to at some point today. But the old school versus new school approach in sports, the reason why I even thought about this conversation is I watched Alec Boehm drive in 5 more ribbies yesterday. But there are probably baseball nerds that look down at Alec Boehm because he only hits 5 home runs. Will only hit probably close to 20 home runs this season, and he's not going to be the third baseman that drives in 30 home runs. But, hey, if he's driving in 100 RBI, to me, that's all that should matter.
That's all it
I mean,
should
if he only drives in 60 ribbies, then that's a totally different conversation. But the fact that this guy can drive in close to 100 runs year in and year out, I don't care how many home runs he's hitting.
I mean, 97 last year, and he should blow past that this year.
At this point, it looks like he's going to. Yeah,
with good health.
So what is another one that you have, John?
You play how you practice, like load management. And
Yep,
was that it? Did you write it? There it is.
Load management.
There it is.
I knew. I knew you were going to bring it
It's
up.
absolutely. The NBA had to literally spend $3 million roughly on a study to show, to prove, to factually put it. Load management is ridiculous. There's no science to it. It doesn't affect. There's nothing that says you need to play less games. Nothing. And they literally spent millions to be able to show their owners and show their teams and go, oh, by the way, guys, this is total bullcrap. It doesn't exist. And we're showing it to you because you're screwing over your ticket buying public and you're screwing over the fans. And now we're starting to see it bleed into some other sports.
But you know what's interesting? A lot of people pointed out that, the Knicks are conditioned. That's why they're playing so well in the playoffs. But then what happened? They ended up losing again. Like Tom Thibodeau doesn't have much playoff success, and he's probably the guy that runs his guys to the ground as much as possible.
Now, they did have 5 out of 7 starters end up with some ailment in the midst of this series.
Yeah,
which was weird.
Because maybe they were banged up at this point.
No,
Almost
they
like
got
they
banged
should have
up.
rested
No,
them a little bit.
they got banged up during the series.
Like Josh Hart didn't miss like a second
Right.
against the Sixers.
Right. Not a second.
Maybe that's part of it. I don't know. I understand that they did a study. I'm not saying.
No, they literally showed you.
But maybe Josh Hart should play 38 minutes instead of 48 minutes. Like maybe there is science behind that.
What Adam Silver's study showed the owners is that a guy playing 37 to 35 minutes, 34 minutes doesn't matter.
Adam Silver
Wow.
also wants.
A guy showing.
Adam Silver is the commissioner of the league. Also wants his stars playing.
No, absolutely he does.
From a business standpoint.
No, absolutely does. But then he showed you. Okay, let's also look at. We'll lay this over 7 years ago. We'll lay it over 10 years ago. We'll lay it over 15 years ago. We'll lay it over 20 years ago. It's absolutely groundless that they do this.
It's groundless now. This whole load management thing is still, in the grand scheme of things, new.
It's still new.
It's a newer concept. We might find out in 5 to 10 years, hey, the drop-off in injury as this becomes more of a thing is more substantial. Like, scientifically, maybe that study didn't show it, but let's
no. What it did show, I have it because I got it for you. What it did show is more players are injured now.
I don't care about that. Like, logically, John.
Right.
Just don't worry about the science word. Logically. If you play basketball, are you more likely to get hurt than if you don't play basketball?
Yes, that is true. But
sure. But less players 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, while they were playing more games, more minutes, were less injured.
I'm not saying you're wrong.
They also may have been playing through more injuries back then.
Well, there could be.
Everything is documented
Oh,
nowadays.
no, absolutely.
Everything. Joel Embiid sneezes, and it's reported on.
Bob, that's one of the brilliant things is that Bob would, teach, literally say, he goes, John, I would see things in the NBA where they were literally like the way that everything was scrutinized and they would blow the whistle on it, like, you're not pushing this.
Well, yeah,
You're not pushing it.
Iverson's Iverson's a
Right.
prime story.
You're not
the
playing
guy had a
through
broken
this.
back and kept on playing, and it wasn't really reported on until he finally missed a game.
And I'm sure the contracts, Connor, have a ton to do with it.
I'm sure. Absolutely.
That they go, whoa, we paid this guy $40 million. We can't have him out for 3 weeks. Let's have him have 3 days off this week.
Yeah, I'm not saying you're right or wrong or the study's right or wrong. I'm just saying, like, logically, it would make sense if you play less, you're well rested. And even if that hasn't been proven to this point, I think there's a world where we might see in the future that you're keeping guys healthier. I'm not advocating.
Do you think it would apply to? Okay. Do you think it should apply to other sports?
Yes.
If that is so, like in the NFL.
Yeah. Now you can't get away with it in the NFL because you don't play enough games.
17 games.
Yeah,
right.
but I mean, wouldn't the same thing exist? The same logic exist?
Absolutely.
It's a much more physical game. It's a much more taxing
Why do
game.
you rest guys in the final week of a regular season if you don't need to play them?
Well, I
Good
mean,
point.
no, but I'm talking about resting them. But to use the NBA model, you would rest
Week
Devontae
eight,
Smith
you
in
can't.
Week 8, right?
Why not?
Because there's less games. It's math.
Yeah, but you would
You need all
still
of them.
but you're still it's a
Yeah, but
finite
you know what?
amount.
You know what their load management is? It's Nick Sirianni's approach to practicing. It's
It
not
is.
practicing as hard.
And
Maybe load management in the NFL isn't playing is giving a week off. It's Lane Johnson out rest.
And I believe
On a Monday
right.
practice or a Tuesday practice. That is the NFL's version of load management.
And last year, I believe the Eagles played like they practiced.
You might be correct.
They had the least day in pads. They had the least practices in training camp.
And you saw it with the tackling effort. All right, give us one more text, Connor.
All right, let's go ahead and check in. We'll save this one for later. But okay, this is new school, old school. There's someone who checked in on the Kyle Schwarber conversation.
Okay, good.
But I don't want to relitigate that right now. This person says, no name on this text, love new school creation of super teams. I like to see the Stars team up and make great basketball.
I love it too, but you know what you're not getting out of that? Great basketball. The Suns were not a great basketball team. I have a lot to talk about that because I love it.
And when has it worked?
Miami. Years ago, with the best player in the world. Boston, 2008.
We're talking about, seriously, we're now going into, we're almost a generation from it.
All right, I want to
Really
dive into that more. So save that text. We'll reread that text coming up next. Also, there could be a franchise-changing situation for the Flyers.
Could be.
Franchise-changing that might go in their favor. I'll tell you what that is next. And it's pretty fitting the day after a major depressing anniversary of the Flyers, which was yesterday. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Bob Cooney.
A lot of listeners have brought this up to us. Was about Joe.
and whether or not you ignore negative signs, because I do believe that I'm guilty of doing that, and also old school versus new school approaches in sports, because Alec Boehm drives another 5 RBI yesterday, but there's a baseball nerd out there somewhere that goes, oh, well, he's not as good as this player because he doesn't hit 30 home runs. But there are some old school things that probably are outdated and some new school things that are better, like the center. I read you the Kevin Service tweet. Joel Embiid is not a back-to-the-basket player. No. Just because he's 7'2" doesn't mean he is a put-his-back-to-the-basket, get-on-the-low-block player. But there are a lot of people, a lot of Sixers fans. How many times have you taken the call? I believe he needs to get on the block more. Well, that's not his game.
And I feel like they haven't. I'm like, do you want to change a guy at this point in his career?
Right.
What's he, 10 years into a pro career?
And what would you change of him? He's amazing.
Yeah, I
other than better legs, like what else would you change of Joel Embiid?
And I've heard Bob and Amy were talking about it last week with one of the callers that was sort of saying that he needs to play more in the paint. And Bob was like, "Look, I think it's that he spends more time at that 3-point line." This is what the caller was pissed about. He spends more time there. Maybe he's because of the fact that expounding a little less energy because of the energy he is expounding on the defensive end.
Okay.
He is and he's a defensive game changer.
Sometimes he takes a series off.
Right, because and you're not really taking it off.
Right, he's still attempting the shot.
You're not going, as Bob was pointing out to the caller, you're not going basket to basket constantly. You're going basket to 3-point line.
Right.
And if it pays off for you on the defensive end in the long term, there's a part of that.
Now,
I did by the way, I did see some breaking news. I did want to note it.
What do we got?
Flags are to be at half staff today at Villanova because of the Knicks going down.
Oh.
So
you scared me first.
Knicks basketball, they're home at Villanova. Villanova has said they will fly the flags at half staff.
Any tweets from Villanova?
Yeah,
men's
Villanova basketball. Are they bragging today?
Or do they get quiet today because their guys lost?
Are they all chesty today? Look at our boys.
They did.
Look what we did.
They did retweet the pregame video of the Knicks for Game 7.
Oh, that's good, yeah.
But they have not tweeted anything since because the Knicks lost.
I don't know if Vincent from Bayonne that goes to Villanova, I think he is studying business, that runs the social media for the basketball. I hope that they've learned their lesson.
They probably did.
Let's stop rooting for teams outside of Philadelphia. Just or just promote all your ex-players,
right,
without promoting the teams.
So that's some breaking news, but there was also news over the weekend, Johnny.
Yes, there is.
And I actually recently saw an Instagram post that was liked by said player.
Really?
There are rumors.
Yes.
That Matvei Michkov.
Well,
8th overall pick from a few years ago. When did the Flyers? It was 8th overall.
He should have been.
1 or 2.
1 or 2.
But he goes to 8th because of obviously the issues with Russia and the contract. Right. He might come here next season, and that will be franchise altering.
There are rumors that the workings are getting in place that Mishkov will join the Flyers this offseason. I am here to tell you, just kicking the can and kicking some tires, you should not be counting on this in any way, shape, or form this morning.
Okay.
And that anyone, I believe the people that I've spoken to aren't lying to me, and I believe that they are truthful and that nothing is where you should be able to put it in Sharpie that something like this is happening. Do I believe the discussions are going on? 100%.
Yeah.
Do I believe that there is a chance that it happens? 100% there's a chance that it happens. If anyone is reporting that it's any more than a chance that it happens, I believe they are reporting recklessly, and that is just supposition, throwing something against the wall, hoping they are going to be right.
All right, your feel. If I went out and got a Michkov jersey right now, will I be wearing it with pride at the Wells Fargo Center this season? Gut check.
My gut check says no.
No.
But I will tell you you'd wear it. You're going to wear it in the next.
I'd wear it anyway, yeah.
No, you're going to wear it in the next 2.
Right, okay.
Like, if you don't wear it this year, I think you'll wear it next year. But
even next year would be sooner than we thought. Wasn't it 3 years?
Oh, yeah.
That was like the first number.
This was the first year without him.
Okay.
Most people were thinking he'd be gone 3 years and then you'd get him. I think there's a great chance you'll get him before then, But I would just tell you that if there's reporting from anyone that this is a done deal, it's all over, it's all been finished, I believe that's reckless reporting.
Well, I appreciate the fact that it's even being floated out there because I am excited if this were the case because we have an anniversary. Yesterday was 50 years, man.
It was.
50 years.
And it'll be and next week, next Monday is 49 years since the last cup.
Right. And then the Sixers, what?
41.
They reached 40.
41. It'll be 41 in June for the Sixers, 41 calendar years. It's pathetic, honestly, that our two winter sports teams are now in the 4-decade and now approaching the 5-decade mark. It's terrible, but
there's good signs.
There's so many good signs. There's so many good signs on the Flyer side. And, of course, the Sixers are never, I guess, out of it.
They're never out of it.
I just, again, as you point out, I watch Minnesota, I watch Oklahoma City, I'm watching, and I'm not seeing how the Sixers put it all together.
Let's go to Lewis in Pensauken. Lewis, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Hey, good morning, fellas.
What up, Lou?
What's up, buddy?
Hey, I wanted to talk about the load management situation. Well, first of all, load management is really not trying to give a personal day off. It's basically trying to make sure that especially your star players can last the season and into the postseason, correct?
I think it's to have them save wear on the tires by the time April, May, June, early June runs around.
Yeah, but also make it through the season without injury, because let's take a look at the NFL. The NFL changed. They don't give load management. They changed the rules on how you engage the quarterback so that you would keep a healthy quarterback because
but how did that work last year? I mean, so many quarterbacks were hurt last year.
Half the league had a quarterback injured last year.
No, but that was the intention. I'm not saying it worked, but that was the intention, remember?
Right.
I mean, that's the reason why they did it. Just because, here's the thing, just because these leagues are trying these things for the betterment.
Lewis, here's where it's going to fall apart. The injured list, I guess, as they now refer to it in the NFL. The injured list the last 3 years is worse than the 3 previous years, than the 10 previous years behind it. More players hurt today. And, by the way, this is also when the NFLPA says, let's practice less.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. It's something that we'll wonder, will it ever go back? And that's the thing. Can it go back?
I don't know.
I don't know if you can. If they're preaching player safety as the reason why, how could you go back? Oh, sorry, we don't care about player safety anymore?
It's brutal.
It's interesting, man. All right, coming up next, quick reset. We have today's headlines with Conor Thomas at 8:05, and Ricky Bottalico from The Best Show Ever will join us at 8:10 to talk about your Red Hot Fightin' Phils. Every single week I call them the Red Hot Fightin' Phils. They sweep the Nationals over the weekend. Incredible stuff from the Phillies. We'll talk to Ricky coming your way next. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
20 games.
on this beautiful, beautiful Fanatic Monday presented by Pierce Phelps, Bryant Heating and Air Conditioning Contractors. Visit nopaybryant.com for flexible spending options of new heating and cooling system. Coming up at 8:10, we'll be joined by one Ricky Batalico. At 8:05, we'll be joined by Conor Thomas for today's headlines with Conor Thomas.
I'm right
Joined,
here.
you're right here. Yeah, I don't know. And later this hour, I'm going to play you some audio from one of the best baseball minds out there, and Tim Kurkjian.
He absolutely is.
He's a great mind, and we will play for you how highly he thinks of the Phillies. So that's coming your way later on this hour as well. But we have today's headlines in a few minutes, and we have Ricky Batalico coming up at 8:10. But again, if you're just tuning in, good morning. You get to climb in on the text line or the phone line, 610-632-0975, and answer these two questions that we have for you today. Do you ignore negative signs when it comes to evaluating your teams? I do this probably with the Sixers a lot. I ignore the signs that Joel Embiid gets hurt a lot. I ignore the signs that their bench may be better than years past, but, oh, by the way, their bench might not be as good as other teams' benches in the NBA, and that's why you see them not make it out of the second round, or in this year's case, out of the first round. We talked about this a lot against the Knicks. The Knicks were the better team. The Sixers were more talented, but the Knicks were the better team, and that's something that I ignore often. I am somebody that just wants to acquire talent. I am somebody that just wants to acquire stars.
You're a star hunter.
That's who I am. I won't say the words. It's 8 o'clock. There's kids in the car.
No, but you are a star hunter.
I want stars. Now, you said, Conor, read that text one more time. We had a text about wanting star-driven teams, the big threes.
Yeah, so person checks in. Says, I actually love new school creation of super teams because of the level of basketball it puts together.
It doesn't work anymore. It doesn't. The Phoenix Suns were.
Does it not work anymore?
The 4 teams that are in the playoffs right now, remaining, the final 4. I can't call the Mavericks a super team, even though they have Kyrie Irving.
They're not.
Kyrie Irving, nobody knew what to. Look, I give him a lot of credit. We had this conversation off the air last week. It's not talked about how mature, or I don't want to say mature, but how much better of a teammate Kyrie Irving is this year.
Unproblematic.
Yes, good, thank you, because there have been issues with multiple teams.
No, you're
now.
right.
But I can't call that a super team when there were a lot of issues with Kyrie Irving, and it's him and Luka. The Timberwolves, is Rudy Gobert a superstar?
No.
Like, you can't call that. Like, I can't go super team for the Timberwolves.
You know what's funny? He probably is, but I would not call them a super team.
He's very good at one thing.
No, he's got a skill set that every championship team needs. Is that just fair?
Sure. But I'm not going to call him a superstar. The
But you
Celtics
can't win a championship without it.
The Celtics they have two legitimate stars. They've had them from the beginning. Right? It's not like they built this a specific way. They drafted those 2 players in Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, and the Pacers aren't a super team.
Pacers are
So I can't agree with that text. I love seeing super teams built, but more often than not, we see the super team blow up in their face.
I mean, but
it doesn't mean it doesn't work.
When's the last time it worked?
Probably Miami.
No, it's a long time ago.
No, I mean, look at if you're going. Okay, let's just quickly, so we don't tediously go on with this. Denver was not.
No.
Was Golden State in 22?
No.
No.
Oh, Golden State is the last super team. My bad.
No, but no, Golden State was the last super team.
But here's the thing. It wasn't.
It was 2017.
But it was. They
18.
already had Steph, Clay,
Right,
and
they already
Draymond.
had it.
They added Kevin Durant.
Yeah, well, Miami already had Dwayne Wade, and
Okay, and they got
but that's
LeBron
two.
and Chris Bosh.
No, I got you. I'm just saying, like, it's not about how you create them. It's about big 3 superstars that you put together work. I think it's crazy to say it can't work.
I would rather have more talent, but it is no longer a foregone conclusion that super teams win.
This will be the 6th champion crowned where we're not. We're on a 6-year streak where it's not.
And that tells you something. So
It hasn't
I can't
worked in a
agree
while.
with that text, but I do appreciate you texting in. All right, it's 8:06. Time now for today's headlines with Conor Thomas.
Today's headlines with Conor Thomas.
What's up, Conor?
Hey, boys. So we had a lot of stuff go on over the weekend. I want to start with this a little bit because as much as I'm sure you guys want to react to the Knicks losing, we're going to go a little bit more positive with this.
Okay.
I think I hate to use the term America's team because it makes everyone think of the Cowboys. Well, I'll tell you what. I think the team in the NBA that is easiest to root for right now are those Minnesota Timberwolves. And I don't know if you saw Ant Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns on the podium
press
after the game,
yeah.
but they're just so fun. And this is them talking about something Sixers fans can relate to, about losing before you win.
Usually in NBA history, it says you have to lose and lose big before you win. What is it about this team that says
We lost last year.
Yeah, but that's different. You have to lose at a bigger stage. Usually, teams usually.
It's the playoffs. We lost last year.
We lost the last 2 years.
God, how much more we got to lose?
How much you want us to
Been
lose?
losing for 20 years.
I mean, that's just the truth, dog.
God.
That is awesome.
They're such a fun team.
It is a great response.
That's a great response.
But I do understand you got to lose before you win. And look, we've also seen the NBA that NBA is probably the easiest sport to become a dynasty in, even though, wow, in the NFL you have 2 dynasties in the last 10, 15 years. But the NBA, it's one of those leagues where if you win once, it's kind of easy to win again. But it's getting to the winning that's the hardest part. And we clearly know that here in Philadelphia.
Yeah, so that's where my allegiance lies coming up for the conference finals.
Oh, you also have family ties.
Well, your family is.
I'd like to see them lose.
Well, hey, I can tell you this is that seeing again, Anthony Edwards went to our parish, the school, the church we went to in Atlanta. He went through that school, Holy Spirit, and he is an amazing young man to root for. He's fun. He's a lot of fun, and he always was, and he was always a really, really great kid and a smart kid.
I will say this.
And a smart kid.
I don't care which team comes out of the West. I love Luka. Like, I love both of those teams.
You got your
I have
Euro,
I have a man crush on Luka Doncic. So I love watching him play basketball. I will be happy with either of those teams going on. Like, obviously, I want the Pacers to beat the Celtics. Screw Boston.
We're Team Western Conference, though.
Yeah,
Let's
exactly.
go.
Yeah, we're
Ultimately,
rooting for
we
exactly.
are, yes.
All right, we're moving on. I need to know. This is very interesting. So, this is credit to Justin Ray on Twitter who put this out. The PGA Championship obviously was this last week. Scotty Scheffler had headlines by getting arrested, but the final score to par by the field was minus 214. The next closest in any PGA Championship ever was plus 40. So here's my question. You had an event where it was supposed to be difficult, and golfers went out there, murdered the course, and then
Right.
Scotty Scheffler gets arrested, and you get all that press. And bad week for golf or good week for golf?
Great week for golf.
Bad week for golf.
I will tell you why it's a great week for golf. It's been talked about, especially like all of a sudden the Scotty Scheffler stuff was memes all over. Like, I'm sure
it was memes.
there were. I will guarantee you, there were non-golf fans that checked out that Friday, that watched that round Friday because they wanted to see if Scotty Scheffler could overcome his federal arrest and go out there and play well. I would say good weekend for golf. The other reason why I don't care about the scores being high or low, I care about it being close.
I see. I know that the PGA conditions, the PGA Tour for the Tour Championship is supposed to be you're not supposed to be having a tournament where the course is
I got
spread,
you.
where guys are shooting 10 under, 9 under, 8 under. That's not the way it's supposed to be.
I just care that it matters come the final hole. Like, the Masters was boring because how much did he win by, Scheffler?
4 or 5?
The
It was boring as hell.
The 18th hole didn't matter.
It was the worst back nine on a Sunday that I can imagine.
Whereas this one's different.
Yeah, I mean, it was tight.
Xander only won by 1 stroke.
Yeah.
DeChambeau was lost by 1 stroke.
Cousin Matt saying that it's the wet conditions too that did help
you
the
could stick
scoring, but also that course is an easier course for a PGA Championship. PGA Championship's supposed to be hard.
All right, last one, I believe, and then you can call up Ricky Patalico. What do we got?
This is something you asked to start the program, Mr. Salciunas.
Right. So I'm going to ask a question right away, and I know that I am guilty of doing this, but I think that you're not because you're logical, John. How many of us ignore negative signs when it comes to evaluating our team?
I do it, and I do it, like, knowingly. I don't
You wear it like a badge of honor.
I don't even care that I do it. Like, I honestly don't. And maybe that makes me an unfair, like, fan. I don't know. I'm a fan.
No, it makes you a fan.
I'm a
It
fan
makes
of
you.
these
I can't go fanboy. It makes you a fan.
It's all right.
You look for positives more than you look for negatives.
No, but if you're,
well, not everyone's like that.
You are a fanboy in my mind. If you cannot discuss your team's positives and negatives logically,
Well, I could discuss them, but I'm going to weight the positives higher.
Right. He'd rather go.
No, but that's
he'd rather
fine.
watch for
That's
the positives than for the negatives.
But if you admit that, yeah, that really.
I want to like sports. I don't want to hate sports.
This thing is, you don't have to hate it.
Call up Ricky, but I want you to think of this, Connor. Talking to you specifically. I want you to come up with your biggest concerns for all the teams, especially the Phillies, because he's Mr. Locked On Phillies podcast. He likes to look at things positively all the time, which I love that about him.
He does. He's very positive.
But there are things where you can go, all right, that could be an issue, that could be an issue. I want him. I'm going to put him to the test, and we'll rate them, you and I, all right?
Right, okay.
All right, so
I think,
we'll do
though,
that.
he's not going to care about them.
No,
He's going to say, he'll be able to tell you.
they exist.
He'll tell you what they are,
Right,
but he'll
knows
say
exist.
they don't matter.
But I wonder what are the things that Connor Thomas is concerned about the most, because he is more positive. He's more positive than me, and I'm a pretty positive person. You're Mr. Logical John. I'm positive Andrew, but Connor's almost sky high when it comes to looking at things from a more positive light. All right, so that was today's headlines with Connor Thomas. And now joining us on the Comcast Business Hotline, every day in business is a big day. Let Comcast Business help you move forward with what's next. We will hear him coming up at 2 o'clock on the Best Show Ever with Tyrone Johnson. That, of course, the great Ricky Batalico. Ricky, good morning.
Good morning, Andrew. Thanks for making me wait. You had to get in another question. I heard you.
Thank you. Wait, Connor kept on talking to you. Connor likes to have conversations with you guys on the phone. I'm trying to get you on the air.
No. I'm talking on air. You said, let me get in one more thing, then you could call me.
Because he didn't dial you yet, and I'm trying to kick the can until you're on. Come on, man.
Sorry, I'm cordial with the guests.
I'm pulling you behind the curtain here, Ricky. I had to kill time until you were up.
I love stirring the pot in the morning.
Anyways.
There you go.
Dude, another sweep. This team just keeps on rolling.
They win in every way possible. This is, you know what? For all those people out there that are saying, because I'm sick of hearing it already, they haven't played anybody. Mm-hmm. They've played a lot of teams right now, and they are mowing them down. That is the only way to look at this. This is a team that's sweeping teams that normally you would only take 2 out of 3 from. So they're gaining an extra game every single these 6 sweeps that they have. You look at that as a positive 6 plus 6 in those sweeps, and I just. You know what? To me, it started with the starting pitching. The starting pitching will level off. We all know that, and it has at times right now. But I mean, when it starts with that, and they carry you for a little while, and then all of a sudden, now the big hits are coming. You look at yesterday with runners in scoring position; they were outstanding. So, and we haven't gotten to Schwarber yet. I mean, once you get to Schwarber time, then he could carry you for a little while too. But I mean, it's just one of those things where you know certain guys are going to take off, that it hasn't happened yet. Trey Turner went down, and you're still kicking everybody's ass.
I love what you said yesterday in the postgame show, and some might not. The idea is that you looked at it and you said, you know, this team scored 11 today, and I'm looking at it and saying, you know what, they could have scored 14 or 15. And they scored 8 the other night. It is true, is that it appears they haven't even hit their stride yet.
They haven't. And I know. I'm one to say, okay, you played the Braves. You know what? First series of the year. That means, you know what that meant to me? Nothing. I mean, in reality. But, I mean, look at the Braves. They're not a juggernaut this year. I think they're a good team. There's no doubt about it. I think the Phillies are the juggernaut, and people in the city don't want to know that. Like, that we always love playing this underdog role. That's not going to happen with this team.
Ricky, we're having a conversation today about new school versus old school in sports and how some new school things are better than old school, but then there's also the idea that a third baseman has to hit 30 home runs and, you know, has to do all these other things. Alec Bohm doesn't do that. Alec Bohm is never, to me, ever going to hit 30 home runs. But, damn it, if my guy's driving in 100 RBI, why should I care how he's doing it?
You shouldn't.
But you know there's baseball nerds that will.
Well, because we've gotten into this era where the only thing that matters is home runs, where the Phillies are proving a lot of this stuff wrong right now. And I'm going to go back to the starting pitching. I want you to look at the starting 5 even right now. And you can include the starting 6 if you want to put Turnbull in there. And I want you to tell me which guy in this rotation does not know how to pitch. And I think a lot of people think pitching is throwing 102 miles an hour. That is the furthest thing from the truth. You look at those guys who throw 100 miles an hour. It lasts one year because they run out of – your arm runs out of bullets, no matter how many people think that or not. And then on top of that, You have 5 pitchers right now that could set up hitters. Where is this around Major League Baseball? This used to be exactly what baseball was. That you come in there, you have guys that could pitch, and the Phillies learned that. And they may have learned before everybody else. They may have finally been ahead of the curve saying, hey, why don't we get guys that can actually pitch in our starting rotation instead of guys that throw? And there is a huge difference between the two.
Is it worth going and thinking about upgrading your backup catcher? When you see that you've got a guy who's had some knee issues, he's had a couple times this year where he's had to take a little time, that maybe Stubbs wouldn't cut it over a month or 5 weeks if they needed him to do so?
Well, I think if it comes to that point, John, I think we all know that they would go out and get somebody. I don't think they're in a situation where Garrett Stubbs would catch more than the 3 games in a row that he already has.
Okay.
I think, it's exposure. You know that as well as I do.
Sure.
Once you get guys that are supposed to be playing, in general, let's say a guy's supposed to play 40 games a year, and all of a sudden he's playing 80, he's going to be majorly exposed at some point during that season.
Speaking of Ricky Pitalico on the Comcast Business Hotline, Ricky, you brought up the people that doubt the Phillies because of this schedule. I know the Texas Rangers are a 500 ball club this year, but they are the defending World Series champions. If the Phillies handle their business against the Rangers in this series, will the Phillies get more respect, and should they get more respect from Phillies fans? I'm not even talking about media. I'm talking about people within our walls.
I think the true Phillies fans understand that they're a really good team. I think the ones that are back and forth on, kind of the bandwagon ones, I think they're not going to believe anything. They're going to say, okay, they were World Series champs last year, but what are they this year? I mean, I think that's what will be going on. I don't think there's like a situation in which they'll say, oh, well, they just beat the World Series champs. They're a good team now. I don't think that'll happen ever around here. I think what will happen until you go into a series and you demoralize the Braves, that would do it for all the bandwagon fans.
Do you believe?
Nothing else.
Do you believe when they get off to a start like this that it's important to hold off the Braves and win this division?
That might be the greatest question I've ever heard.
I love that.
Congratulations,
Thank you, Ricky.
John.
That's Barcan quality? That's good.
Barcan quality. In Barcan's mind, they were already out of the playoffs in the first series of the year. But you know what? I look at it this way. I think if you're a good team, you're a good team. It will carry. To win the division, I think they're going to win the division. So I'm not even thinking.
You did call for that beforehand. Yeah.
Ricky?
Yeah, I think they're going to. What?
No, I thought you were done. I'm sorry. Keep talking. I thought you were done.
No, I just think they're one of those teams that are built. They're built for a long haul, and they've proven this. I mean, they've come on very strong. This is the type. Here's what's weird. This is the type of the baseball they've been playing from really mid-May on in seasons past. But they started it earlier. I think they could keep this up because this team doesn't like to lose one game, let alone 2 or 3 in a row. And I think this team is finally showing signs of a business manner, if you will. I know they still do the fun and games, but it's a little different than in the past couple of years. I think you guys would agree with that.
Sure.
It's kind of like, you know what? We're here to win. We're not here to do anything but that. And I like that attitude. I think they will hold off, and I think they will win the NL East.
All right, now that you're done. Ricky, thank you very much, man. We appreciate it.
Thanks, bud.
All right, take it easy, guys.
There he is, Ricky Pitalico on the Comcast Business Hotline. Listen to him today at 2 o'clock on the Best Show Ever with our man Tyrone Johnson.
And it's always fun to look at this. 500 the rest of the way. They win 91 games.
And that would still be a disappointment.
I mean, seriously. Oh, no.
It would still be a disappointment.
Now that you're 20 games over 500,
right?
That's the only curse, is that you've got to keep up. You don't have to keep up this kind of
not this clip.
But you have to. You cannot have the month where you go under 500.
Right. Can't have that. Absolutely not. All right, coming up next, I mentioned later this hour, well, it's going to be next segment. Tim Kurkjian, one of the greater baseball analysts, baseball minds. He thinks very highly of this Phillies team. You're not going to want to miss hearing what Tim Kurkjian had to say about the Phillies. And, John, Let me and Conor have this victory. All right? Just let us cope. Let us get over our own issues. I know you don't know what I'm talking about, or maybe you do.
Oh, I do.
All right, you do know what I'm talking about. The audience doesn't. But John tried putting a wet blanket on our coping this week, and I don't appreciate it. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
The Phillies stay hot.
8:30 on Kincade and Salciunas on this Monday morning. Coming up around 8:47, John, we're going to have Conor.
That's very precise.
Well, that's when we come out of break.
I like it. Very precise.
I'm going to have Conor do his homework assignment because Conor always looks for positives and ignores our main topic today. Our jumping off point was, do you ignore negative signs when it comes to evaluating your teams? And Conor says absolutely. So I'm going to make Conor point out the negative signs coming up in the next segment.
Why would you do this to me?
Well, because it's time to grow up.
It's time for you to big boy world.
I want to be Peter Pan forever, bro.
It's time to grow up, man. It's all right. Neverland doesn't exist, believe it or not. All right, let's start with the coping mechanism that you're trying to destroy for me and Conor. And also this segment, you'll hear from Tim Kurkjian, who talks about the Phillies, and you're going to love what he has to say. But on Sunday morning or Saturday night, I saw it Sunday morning because I was done. Conor texted us that the Thunder had been eliminated from the playoffs. And I told you last week, personally, I needed the Thunder to lose that series. Not just because I wanted to see my man Luka, my best friend Luka Doncic win that series. I also needed the Thunder to lose because a lot of people, and you're guilty of it, John.
Oh, yeah.
Have already crowned the Thunder of doing things the right way. And,
No. Nope. Better.
Okay, better.
And it's still true today.
They didn't get out of the second round.
It doesn't matter. It's still.
They've gone as far as the Sixers have gone.
Want to trade franchises right now?
Well, yeah, because they're younger.
Exactly.
The Sixers were younger at one
The
point.
Sixers were younger at one point.
You want to trade
At
franchises.
one point, they were the 1 seed and failed miserably against the Atlanta Hawks. The Thunder were the 1 seed. They lost to the Mavericks. It's the exact same thing.
You like their roster better?
Right now, yes.
And they're in the Western Conference, not the weak-ass Eastern Conference.
You're not making the right argument.
They're in the weak-ass East Conference, where you should have been able to get to a conference finals by now. You're not talking about the West, which is rugged.
All right, look, and they might get there one day, but a lot of people crown them as they did everything.
Crowning them. I mean,
They were crowned, and maybe not just you. A lot of people crown the Thunder as look at all these things. They did the process the correct way. They still haven't gone much far. They haven't gone any farther than the Sixers have. So I celebrated that over the weekend, and you're trying to, whatever it will make you feel better about the process.
It's the truth. It's absolutely the truth. The fact that you're celebrating that the Thunder goes down.
I needed them to lose.
In a great series, by the way.
It was a great series for the Mavericks.
Spectacular talented
I needed them to lose, and they lost. And that means that the Thunder still haven't done more than the Sixers. Post the Oklahoma City process.
It was 4-2, right? They didn't even force Game 7.
They didn't even force Game 7. You're right.
I don't think anybody would say, you put an NBA mind, get an NBA executive and say, both of them in their processes, who's done it better? It'd be 100% Thunder.
I don't know if that's
99.
true.
I don't know.
The Sixers
John.
were one seed at one point. It's very similar.
In the East?
Okay.
Which you will admit is
not as good as the West.
Not even close.
That is correct. But if they didn't finish first, they would have finished second to the Denver Nuggets, who won the championship last year.
Exactly.
The Clippers were the 4 seed. It's a little overrated.
Clippers a little overrated.
The Suns were the 6th seed. Mavericks were the 5th seed. Like, the West is more top-heavy than the East. But then
Much
again,
more.
the East have maybe the best team in basketball.
And that's
in
where
the
you
Boston Celtics.
By the way, when you're top heavy, that means it's harder to win in the playoffs.
That's true. But the Boston Celtics might be the best team in basketball.
But there's no excuses for the Thunder. If the Sixers were in a tough conference and they weren't making it, we wouldn't be like, well, that's okay. If you're going to do the process, you need to have a championship.
Right.
And the Thunder have not gotten a step closer than the Sixers have.
Would this be comparative to the Sixers? Would this be 2018 or 19 for the Thunder?
I want to say 8.
I would say
19.
I would say 18 because 19 was the closest one for the Sixers. So the Thunder, I'll give the Thunder another chance next year.
Well, they should have at least 4, 5 more chances.
Well, at some point, you're
using the Sixers.
But at some point, you're going to have to pay the players, right?
No question.
At some point, all these guys are going to be eligible for max contracts. You can only have 3 of them, right? And it'll
end up like an old Oklahoma City situation.
I was about to say, would it be the first time that Oklahoma City did not keep their team together? They literally had Durant, Harden, and Russell Westbrook at one point in their primes.
I think they can keep this team together for 3 years, though, if I'm not mistaken from the broadcast the other night.
Yeah.
They're going to be rolling this team back with additions.
They could, yeah.
I think more than could. They're going to go out, and you're going to have people that are going to want to play with that crew.
John, there's a better chance that you're right than us.
But there also might be a lot of players that want to play with the Timberwolves. Or they
there
might
could
want,
be.
they might want to play
question.
with Nikola Jokic. Like, imagine if you're a three-point shooter.
Absolutely.
Oh, wait, I can play with Jokic. He's going to get me all those open
Great
looks.
passer, all the attention he draws.
I don't, like, this may have been, it could be. Again, we'll find out in the future. This could have been the Thunder's best shot, and they lost. But a lot of people crown them as they did the process better than the Sixers, and so far, they haven't gone farther than the Sixers. And so I celebrated that over the weekend.
they got a chance.
So let me cope the way I need to cope, John.
They got 5 more playoffs to be able to do the comparison.
Okay.
But that's good.
And in 2019, when the Sixers rolled out a team of J.J. Redick, Jimmy Butler, Tobias Harris, Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, we would have said that team is going to be monsters for a long time.
And they weren't.
Well,
So
they were
let's
a little,
see.
little different age, but I get you.
Jury's still out for the Thunder.
Were they? Because Embiid and Simmons were like 24, 25
They were.
on that team.
I'm not ready to crown the Thunder as they did things the right way. Until you win, you haven't done anything the right
Whatever
way.
helps you sleep at night. And you and your cosplaying buddies.
Screw you, John Kincade.
You cosplayers. You probably the process cosplayers.
Look, I'm
You still
celebrating.
get together. I sort of think you guys have the warehouse next to the Joe Paterno people.
Yeah.
You guys, the process people go to the same warehouse to worship the Sam Hinkie statue, and then the Penn Staters go into the Joe Paterno where they have the Joe Paterno statue.
We just have to clean up after.
And they light the
all.
candles and have the black mass. Yeah, it's all great.
All right. Tim Kurkjian on ESPN. You're going to want to hear this. So it's one thing for us to be celebrating the Phillies as much as we do locally, watching them every single night. How about nationally? Tim Kurkjian calls the Phillies the best team in baseball.
I think the Phillies are the best team in the National League. They're the best team in baseball. They're 33-14. They also have a starter's ERA of 2.63, which is the lowest in Major League Baseball. We know all about Wheeler and Nola, but Ranger Suarez this year has been as good as basically any pitcher in baseball. He has added so much to that rotation. The entire bullpen throws 98 miles an hour, power arms everywhere, and their offense is pretty darn good, and it's going to get better when Trey Turner comes back. Alec Boehm has had an MVP caliber season. They're really, really good.
By the way, that's another new school thing that I like. Remember how it used to be, the relievers are just the guys that couldn't make it as starters? People are now training to be relievers.
Specialized relievers. Correct.
Like early, like high school and in college. Like back in the day, it was just, you're a reliever because you weren't good enough to be a starter. That's not the case anymore. And the Phillies and Dave Dombrowski, giving him credit, they put together a fantastic bullpen of it.
Yeah.
And boy, thank God. Because we
it was just a couple of years ago.
Was it the second of the last year of Girardi that they had the worst bullpen?
It was historic
in the history of the franchise.
Every year of Girardi.
No, but I think it was the second of the last year.
It
was 19, I believe.
The only team that was worse, only ERA bullpen that was worse was like a Phillies team in the 1800s. Like that's how bad
it was so bad.
That wasn't 21.
No, I think it was
20. The second to last year of Girardi. What you said, the second to last year, whatever the year that
would
was.
have been 21.
The second to last year of Girardi.
22.
Right. I mean, it
was so bad.
It's great
and
right now.
Dave Dombrowski has a history of finding arms.
Yeah.
Of finding arms and being able to create that.
But it's all power arms, and that's the way it should be. I mean, again, I think I brought up his name last week. The Phillies having Pat Neshek a couple of years ago was a tragedy. That you have a guy that's throwing sidearm like 75 miles per hour and is getting tattooed, and now you bring in power arms like this from both sides, left and right. That's got to be hard for an opposing offense.
You realize too, Justin, and this isn't Dave Dombrowski, but it's just what the Phillies are doing. They've got 3 guys in their starting rotation who are on pace to pitch 215 innings plus.
Yeah, let's settle down.
No,
there.
but that's absurd.
It is absurd.
That's absurd.
I just get nervous.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Let's settle down there, John.
It's unreal.
In the old school, that's a normal thing.
Yeah, in
the new school,
yes.
In the new
now
school,
you got
it is
to wrap
not.
and bubble wrap. Let's give him 3 weeks off.
All right. So the Phillies are the best
And a
team in
juice
baseball,
box.
according to Tim Kurkjian, but he also says they're going to get better when Bryce Harper gets hot.
I know from watching baseball tonight that over the last couple of years, the Phillies have actually started slow in the month of April. They've really turned it on here.
Right, and they've got Bryce Harper completely healthy as opposed to this time last year. And even though he hasn't really gotten it going, he's going to get it going, and then they're going to get potentially even better from here.
They're only going to get better, man. They are only going to get better. That's the scary thing for opposing teams.
They absolutely. Well, Trey Turner coming back.
That's going to help. And you've pointed out the batting averages. I know it's not just all about batting average, but you point out some of the numbers for the team. Like, it was good to see Nick Castellanos have a nice night, right?
Sure,
like
3 hits.
And the more and more good games from a Nick Castellanos, more and more good games from JT Realmuto, and of course Bryce Harper.
We haven't even mentioned Bryson Stott, who's been red hot.
He's been red hot. I mean, the month of May has been spectacular for Bryson Stott, and that's why the Phillies continue to find ways. Even if somebody isn't playing well, there's always going to be somebody else that steps up, it seems like. That's why they are 20 games above 500 with the best record in baseball. It's amazing, man. All right, coming up next, Conor Thomas's homework. Mr. Positive, Conor Thomas. What are the things that you are ignoring when it comes to these teams? Because that's what our initial question was. Do you find yourselves ignoring negative things about teams when it comes to evaluating them? Conor says straight up yes. Well, what are the things that Conor Thomas is ignoring? And I want to hear an answer from all the teams, okay? So that's coming your way next. Also, I did something today for the first time all season.
Really?
Did something today for the first time all season. It's something that you're going to do next week. I'm not going to lie, Johnny. It excites me. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
Now, around the bases with Andrew Sal on 97.
Join us on this Monday morning. Hope you're getting to work safely. This is going to be a very tough time for Connor Thomas.
Why is that?
I'm going to make Conor.
You made him do homework?
I'm going to make. Yeah. How was it? Were you a good homework kid?
Terrible.
Me too.
Yeah.
I was bad.
And he studied at Oxford. He studied a semester at Oxford.
I was the teachers collecting the homework. I'm like, oh shoot, and I do like the jotting down the answers. I'm not a
You were
good
terrible?
student. Terrible student. I'm gonna tell Cooper to not be the student that I was. By the way, the Fanatic Deal of the Week, great one. You and I talked about it before the show even started. The Maurice Pier Fanatic Deal of the Week for a limited time only. Get a same-day ride and water park ticket to Maurice Piers for just $70. That's a $50 savings per ticket for unlimited rides on 3 piers and both water parks for a whole day. Get this exclusive offer while supplies last at 975thefanatic.com/deals. And do it today because I'm sure a lot of you are going down the shore this weekend.
Liv and her friends have done this the last 2 summers.
This deal of the week?
This exact deal.
It's a great deal.
And it's great because if you find a ride you love going on, just keep going on and going. And they did the water park. Now, I think the girls just pretty much took selfies on chairs.
Okay.
I don't remember them ever going on the flumes or the rides, the slides.
But you know who else this is important for? The mom and dad of 3.
Oh, my God.
You're saving $50 a ticket.
It's a great deal.
So check it out, Fanatic.com, 975thefanatic.com/deals. And if you're going down the shore this weekend, you know you're going to head to Maurice Pier.
Of
so
course
just
you will.
buy it today. Like, don't wait. Buy it today or buy it Friday if it's a payday for you, okay? I would check this out now. Save the money. It really isn't even that hard to think about. All right, Connor Thomas. Our initial question today was whether or not you ignore negative signs when it comes to evaluating your teams. I believe I'm guilty of that, but I don't think I'm as guilty as you.
Yeah, I'm very guilty.
So what are the negative signs with some of the teams in this city that you ignore?
Nothing. They're all perfect. And they've never lost, and they never will. Okay, well, what team do you want me to start with? Take your pick.
All right, let's start with the Fightins because you are Mr. Locked On Phillies podcast. And it's kind of hard to even point anything out.
They might actually be nothing right now. The tough thing with the Fightins, I don't know that it's a negative, but it's kind of the scary part of this. Some individual stuff's sustainable. This pace is not sustainable.
Yeah, of course.
So I wonder how much the regression is going to affect them. Like, they're a strong locker room, so I think they'll be fine. They've been there before, but there will be a regression at some point. I worry how much of a regression it's going to be.
What if it's the 600 ball? See, if it's the 600 ball, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't like. You can't be expected. Anybody who starts to sound the alarms if they're not playing 20 games over 500
right.
is stupid. I mean, that's stupid. But the thing is, if you just play 600 ball the rest of the way,
then you're all right.
You're gonna be better than all right. Or you're gonna be a 99 win team or something.
Or like if you're worried about injuries, but I think that's not a negative. That's just
that happens in any sport. Right. All right, fine. Eagles. What is the thing that you ignore?
Tell you what, I don't like the bend don't break defense. I don't like the way it's set up. I don't care if Vic Fangio created it. I just don't like that style of defense.
Neither do I.
I don't know that it works.
And that's why Ray Dunn gave the best answer about the Vic Fangio hiring. He's excited for both reasons. If it works, great. That makes me excited. If it doesn't, great. I found out that this system doesn't work anymore.
You know what's awesome? Is that's incredibly smart.
Because it's been the Eagles system. Even Jim Schwartz ran a similar style.
No, he did.
It's been this has been the system that the Eagles have had since 2016. 8 years now.
If I was to say to you, though, if you don't, Connor, this is going to tell us one way or another. Great insight from Ray there. What is the style of defense you would want?
Take somebody's head off. Get me Brian Flores. Get me Wake Martindale. I'd rather them lose blitzing than lose giving up 8 yards every play.
But you can't play that with this secondary.
Well, that's why
I'm ignoring it. Maybe the new secondary will allow you to play that style.
Right. You can also try to get players that fit your scheme.
Yeah, I think but the thing is that maybe the new secondary now, you got a couple new young faces, fresh faces. Maybe they will become cornerstones of you being able to play that style. So I like that one. I don't think that's bad either.
What about the Sixers?
Where do I start? I mean,
what's your top
this
one?
team.
Yeah, what's the top one? What is the thing that you're ignoring the most?
Joel Embiid handcuffs the way this team could build.
Okay.
That's great honesty from you. It's great honesty.
And
he is the number one problem with this team. The problem is he's also the number one solution with this team.
Right, exactly. And you said that line last week, and it's a great line. And tomorrow, I'll tell you right now, tomorrow we're going to dive a little bit deeper into the Sixers because Phillies aren't playing tonight, right? So it's an off night for the Phillies. Obviously, we'll have more Eagles talk to get into, but we are about to watch another Eastern Conference final and another Western Conference final, but another Final Four in the NBA where the Sixers aren't involved.
And then a lousy franchise like the Pacers is.
Yeah.
Which just is annoying as hell.
Well,
it's annoying as all.
All right, last one, Flyers, but I feel like...
Oh, I got a great one for the Flyers.
What is it?
Russia. Send us Michkov. Give him to us. I want him now.
Yeah, but even if you don't get him, like, nobody's going to have cup expectations.
No, I know. The negative with the Flyers is until you see this organization built, like, I trust Danny Briere and Keith Jones.
Yeah, you do, but you don't know.
By feel.
Right.
But my goodness, this organization has not been able to build sustainably.
It's completely fair, and I love that you just said it that way. It is completely fair to trust Danny Briere and Keith Jones by, like, feel. You feel good about them being there and everything. I love both of those hires.
Yeah.
But I don't trust that they're going to get the job done until they show me.
Yeah, but I'm choosing to ignore it and root for them.
Especially for a team that hasn't won in 50 years.
Absolutely.
Right.
I trust, though, again, very much like the Eagles coordinators, Jones and Briere there's a level of freshness, fresh set eyes, and the approach I think is just going to be I think it's going to be great for the organization.
I didn't like that. Can I take a shower? I feel dirty.
All right, coming up next. I did something this morning for the first time this baseball season. I will tell you what that is next. It's the top of the hour, so what we always do is we reset the show. I want to get some of your text reaction on today's topics. So Conor, have those ready. 610-632-0975. But yes, I did something this morning for the first time all season. And it fired me up. Maybe a little too early, but it fired me up. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
On this Fanatic Monday, presented by Pierce Phelps Bryant Heating and Air Conditioning Contractors. Visit nopaybryant.com for flexible spending options on a new heating and cooling system. I'm going to reset the entire show, come up in a few minutes, but I want to tell you what I did for the first time all baseball season this morning.
I swear I can't figure out what it is.
Oh, I know it.
He knows it. I'm sure you know it.
Were you observing him, or did you?
No, I think he has to guess.
Okay.
Yeah, I can put it together.
All right, then I will let John take the guess first, because you're very confident with the answer. So I want John to be wrong first. What do you think?
Okay, I have two guesses, so I'll guess that you analyzed the National League playoff picture.
Conor?
Well, kind of. You looked at the standings.
I looked at the standings.
That's the first time you looked?
For the first time all season.
See, now I don't look till next Monday that I really
I know you don't.
dive into it. Why did you wait that long?
Honestly,
Is that
I
not
just
normal for you?
Just seeing the Phillies roll, I'm like, all right, they're winning. And then I remember the Braves dropped, 2 of 3 against the Padres this weekend?
They lost both to the Padres.
Was it only a 2-game series?
They play a doubleheader today. They got rained out Saturday
that's what
night.
it was. So, because I know they lost Friday, and I know that they lost yesterday, and I was like, this morning, I woke up knowing that the Padres beat the Braves again, and I said, what's the lead the Phillies have on the Braves now? I didn't realize it was 5 games. 5-game lead for the Phillies over the Atlanta Braves.
What was my other guess? That you had calculated the magic number.
No, I can't do that. That's too much math for me.
Yeah, we're not counters over here, John.
No, I'm going to tell you. I know math with you, Conor. I do not trust.
That's why I allowed Kincaid's calculator to do that.
But I will tell. No, and I would never dare to start doing it at this level. But I do remember, and I've talked about it. 1993. I remember Fredericks and Missinelli, the great Mike Missinelli and the legendary Steve Fredericks, God rest his soul, doing the Phillies magic number from like 120. Like the Phillies got off to such a great start. It was like they were doing it as a gag, and then it just took off. That it continued.
Well, maybe we should start doing it now that they're 34-14 and have a 5-game lead over the Atlanta Braves, man. That's the first time I did that this season was look at the standings. I normally don't really do it. I get why you do Memorial Day. I peek here and there. I'm more of an all-star break guy, to be honest with you.
Really?
It's a long season, man.
Okay.
Like this, honestly, this doesn't really mean much to me because I'm expecting the Phillies to not play at a 70% winning percentage all season long, and I'm expecting the Braves to not lose series like they are right now to the San Diego Padres. Like, I expect the Braves to win some baseball games. I expect them to get hot. I still expect the Phillies to win the division at this point, but 5 games is actually a sizable lead right now.
So you've changed to you expect them to win.
Yeah, the
division.
The second Strider went down. We had that conversation. The second Spencer Strider went down, I changed my entire opinion.
I thought, and I said it from the beginning, I thought the Phillies were the better team, but I thought it was razor thin margin. When Strider went down, I went, okay, they're going to have a little more breathing room. But I fully expect the Braves are going to load up, that they're going to go shopping.
Well, they probably, and they do that every single year.
And whoever is the best. Yeah, but this year, instead of looking for spare parts, I think they're going to look for the best arm that's available. And Conor will have his eye on those with the Locked On Phillies podcast.
After you lose your ace for the entire season,
I have a feeling they'll go looking for the best starter that's available, and that's gonna be a battle.
And look, here's the thing for them: Chris Sale's been tremendous.
He's been awesome. He pitches tonight's second game of their doubleheader.
But he's one of those guys. Can you expect him to be healthy all season long?
Nah.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, he's been great for the Braves.
He's been amazing.
They've been really lucky with how well he's pitched since they lost Spencer Strider. Fried hasn't been all that great this year. Charlie Morton's actually put together decent outings for him. But I don't know. I can't expect Chris Sale to stay healthy either.
Skeletor is not exactly structurally sound right now. So
right, exactly.
I don't expect that Chris Sale, 25 starts over under?
Yeah, we'll see.
No, I mean 25 starts over under. I think I'd go under.
I was gonna say push. That sounds like a great number.
Yeah, and these are the kind of things that could absolutely push it to Phil's win the division.
Yeah, if he at some point misses time, then the Phillies, I thought
they're going to win anyway, but I do think. But I thought we were going to be biting our nails to the last second, and we still might be.
But I did that for the first time today. I looked at the standings for the first time all season. Look at me. Okay, so here's what our topics have been all show today, and we would love to hear from you on the text line 610-632-0975. You can call on the show as well. I do know Conor has some texts ready, so we'll get to those. The first question: do you ignore negative signs when it comes to evaluating our teams? I asked that question because I still am fearful of the linebackers for the Eagles, but I still have them going 13-4 when I did W's and L's. Like, why? Why do I go, but they'll overcome the linebackers?
Because you know they're really good.
I know they were really good last year, too.
No, you know they're really good.
The Eagles were really good last year.
And when they were 10-1, again, if they had just went 500, they would have been that 13-4.
Yeah.
You know that last year was a freak show. But
how am I supposed to know, John, that the freak show's gone?
I know that it is not. It is a freak show that will not repeat itself. I know that it won't repeat itself.
So everybody's happy?
It might not be, top seed in the NFC.
Okay.
Rampaging to 10-1. But I think it's fair that it will not be. It's not going to repeat itself.
Okay. And the other reason why I thought about this topic was watching the NBA playoffs and
it's hurting you a little bit.
The guard-heavy league.
Yeah.
And,
it hurts.
It does. And we'll talk more about this tomorrow.
Yeah,
because I do still believe you can win with Joel Embiid. I think maybe Maxey just needs to be given some more of the pie. We'll talk about that tomorrow. The other thing that we've been talking about a lot today is old school versus new school in sports. Because Alec Boehm not hitting 30 home runs, I feel like is frowned upon by some baseball circles.
Many baseball circles.
I'm cool with him hitting 15 home runs as long as he's driving in 100 RBIs. Like, that is a skill set. If you're elite in a certain area, that's a skill set to have.
I'm hoping for 20. I still want 20. Nice. I think that there is a number that I would consider to be too low. But if 14 went along with 105 runs batted in, you're not going to hear a complaint.
Right.
You're just not going to hear a complaint.
But there are, I've had this conversation with people all the time, and I've heard baseball people say this, the people that cover the league inside and out. Who's my favorite player growing up?
Ichiro.
He might not be looked highly
No, he wouldn't
nowadays.
He wouldn't be.
Oh, wow. A guy that hits 300.
No, that would not be by
singles.
By today's standards. And the thing is, I think those same people would say to you, well, of course, with Ichiro, we'd be praising him.
That's the first ballot Hall of Famer.
But I say BS on those people.
I don't know, because last year Luis Ariz got a lot of acclaim around baseball for his ability to just be a contact hitter.
Yeah, and how much do the Marlins like him?
Well, it's not about the team. Now you're just moving it, because the Marlins don't like anybody.
That's true.
Come on. The Marlins, they didn't like Yelich. They didn't like Stanton. They don't like anybody. They didn't like JT. The Marlins hate any good player.
And did you see the just scathing takedown yesterday of Sixto Sanchez?
I didn't see it, but I heard about it.
It was Rob Thompson would absolutely have to be in like a hostage video with someone pointing a gun at him saying, read this script, for him to ever be 1/3 this critical of any player on his roster. And I think Schumacher Skip, right?
Yes.
I think he absolutely doesn't give a flip because he's got a bad team that is not playing well. And he's saying, I'll be unemployed for 5 minutes. Some organization will hire me in 5 minutes. So I don't give a flip.
Yeah, have fun in Chicago.
He's going somewhere. He will absolutely be a manager once he's, and they'll gas him too. But they're starting to come around a little bit. The Marlins coming around a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not worried.
I mean, it's hard for them to play that bad.
Right, exactly.
No, but it was a hole. You talk about digging a hole. They dug a hole.
You know what's amazing? So I just looked up. You brought up Luis Ariz. In case people don't remember, he was the batting champion last year.
Yes.
I looked up his WAR.
His WAR
from last season.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually 4.9. That's pretty good. 4.9. Yeah. But this year he's a 0.1. Like, it's so weird. That stat is so weird.
You want to be?
I don't.
You want to be bothered?
Man.
You want to be bothered?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to give you a number that I just happened to stumble on. I hate WAR.
Okay.
I hate looking at it.
What is it good for?
Pull up, absolutely nothing. Say it again. I would tell you right now, look at a certain center fielder that plays for the Philadelphia Phillies.
I'm sure his WAR is good.
Pull it up. Okay. Pull it up right now.
All right, hold on.
Mr. Rojas.
A 14? No, I'm kidding. I just want to mess with everyone out there.
Let's see. Johan Rojas. I got to get to those advanced stats. Oh, my God. He sucks.
This is why I asked you. This is why this stat is stupid.
He's a negative 0.3, Conor.
It's stupid.
Yeah, well, I don't.
It is a stupid stat. That's all you need to do. Show me that number and go, okay, that's a stupid stat.
WAR is a stat for people who can't understand baseball with their eyes.
And there's a lot of people that don't understand baseball. And then they see Alec Boehm, they go, oh, he only has 5 home runs. That was the point of this conversation.
I watched this with Brian Snitker, whose son was the analytics head for the Astros. and he's an old school manager.
Yeah.
And he's like, look, I'll look at analytics, but I will say, that's nice. My two eyes can tell me Johan Rojas is a hell of a player. But I would say this, is that, and my wife maybe had the best analysis yesterday. She said, I think people put so much scrutiny on Rojas about how he couldn't hit that he maybe put too much pressure on himself and he was trying to be, takes the eye off the ball a little bit, what he's really good at. Do what you're good at. Make what you're great at. Be what you're great at. He hasn't had the best year in the field.
No, he hasn't. I expect him to be fine. Because
absolutely.
He is tremendous.
That's why war means absolutely nothing.
Yep. All right, so what do we have on the text line about this, Conor, about the new school versus old school? And I know a couple people have chimed in about the Oklahoma City Thunder, which is another thing we'll probably dive into deeper tomorrow because you don't allow me and Conor to cope with the Sixers' failures about the Thunder losing. But
I don't allow you to cope at all.
What do we have on the text line, Conor?
All right, so unnamed text here comes in and says, I hate the new school basketball hate on the mid-range. All the world's best scorers work in the mid-range.
So
do you think that's
that sounds like an old head take?
Yeah,
right
but I mean that sounds really.
All right, here's the problem with that. So we all know simple math: 3 is more than 2.
That's confirmed.
That is correct. All right. Even though there are lethal scorers in the mid-range, DeMar DeRozan is a lethal.
He's the only one.
He is. Well, no, Joel Embiid thrives in the mid-range.
But Embiid is multi-leveled.
Right. Yes, exactly.
Whereas DeMar DeRozan is an elite mid-range scorer. DeMar DeRozan has won squatta in his career, except for maybe a couple of 1 seeds when he was with Toronto. That was the Dwayne Casey days. What happened? They traded him. He's gone. Kawhi Leonard comes in, better player. They win a championship.
What's the second bullet in DeMar DeRozan's gun?
Oh, driving every once in a while. But it's
every once in a while.
His mid-range
That's
jump
why with
shot.
Embiid, that's why I don't think Embiid's a good winner.
I went to a Sixers-Raptors game years ago because Jonas Valanciunas was on the team, so I had to go see him.
Had to go see him.
I watched DeMar DeRozan. I was there early because a lot of the Lithuanians got together with Valanciunas before the game. It was cool. I watched DeRozan take his warm-up by himself. He did not miss a single shot from the mid-range. It was the most incredible thing. I just watched this dude not miss a shot from both elbows for like 30 minutes straight. What has he won?
Yeah, see, you say that. Also, though, one of the guys that came to mind for good mid-range players, Kawhi Leonard, who they moved for him. I think there's more to it than just that. But
yeah, but he was more aggressive driving to the lane, too.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate because the 3 is so important now, but you're not getting bad three-point shooters.
No.
Like the teams that are winning, their three-point shooters are shooting around a 40% clip because it has now become the new mid-range. Like the three-point line, a lot of guys are better from the three-point line than mid-range.
How many guys are 40% plus?
In the NBA?
22?
Hold on.
More than that.
Yeah,
more than 22?
Definitely more than that.
Okay.
Easily.
We get excited for like when a bench guy is shooting 40% from three.
Well, I mean, but there has to be a certain number on it as far as
I'll pull it up
number
for
of
you.
attempts.
But yeah, I'll pull that up for you real quick. But yeah, I mean, I understand the frustration.
Yeah, but the 3 is more fun.
But it's also mathematically more important. It's 1 extra point.
And it's cooler. I don't want to see you hit a mid-range bank shot. I'll go to the YMCA. Like, I can watch that all day from some dude who's 70 years old. I want to watch Steph Curry hit him from half court. That's me.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't find the basketball as intriguing. The 3-point, just constant 3-point barrage. I don't find it as intriguing, but I get the point. And it's either get out of the way or you're going to get knocked over.
Jalen Brunson, by the way, shot from the regular season 40.1% from 3, the lowest of the 40% three-point shooters.
Okay.
He was 41st in the NBA.
Holy
dude.
gosh.
Yeah, and then
that way, the volume, the number of attempts. There's a lot of guys got to be in there.
These are league leaders.
No,
so
these are
all
people
the
that
league
are
leaders. They
qualified.
qualified.
Yeah,
that's unbelievable.
Emmanuel Quickley is 50th in this category at 39.5.
Okay, that's wild.
So, like, he's still close to 40%.
That's absolutely wild.
That's 50th in the NBA. These guys, I mean,
I think that's where the mid-range commentator.
Yeah, like Josh Richardson. And how many times have we had this talk? Josh Richardson, the guy that was on the Sixers years ago, right? Would have been perfect if he played in the 90s. He didn't play in the 90s.
No.
There's guys that just didn't play in the right era. Jahlil Okafor did not play in the right era. If he was 20 years ago, he might be in the Hall of Fame for all I know.
I would have been perfect if I played in the 20s.
Right, but
and
that's not the case.
Did your process cosplayers like him?
Well, there's the free job people. I was not a free job guy. I was not. All right, what else do we have on the old school versus no school conversation?
All right, we have a check-in here from Blaine that says, I very much miss the old school big hits in football and sports in general. I understand with CTE and all, but I have to say those B-Dog hits would get me pumped up like no other.
See, this is a tough conversation because it is for health reasons.
100%.
What I hate is the over-officiating of it. Like, I think players have gotten smarter to not try to kill their opponent because they've been taught to not do that. But, like, I've seen quarterbacks get fallen on, and that's a 15-yard penalty.
Terrible.
And that's horrible. And, like, all right, if somebody's running a slant route and the quarterback just puts it in a bad spot and my linebacker has the opportunity to lay a lick on the wide receiver to force an incompletion, why should the defender be penalized for the bad throw by the quarterback?
Right.
That's a great
And why should I be penalized as a fan if I want to see someone's head taken off? Like, and that sounds Neanderthal. And I don't want guys hurt, and I understand why they took it out of the game. But I'd be lying to you if I said I didn't miss watching it.
Why does it sound? The thing is, though, in all honesty, I'm not ripping you for it.
No.
Why do you say it sounds Neanderthal? Well, something that was done, something that has just changed. The talking points have just changed in the past.
Well, because there's more information. We now know about CT. We now know about the injuries. And, oh, by the way, guys are getting stronger, right? So the hits are probably more impactful than what they used to be.
Okay, well, I mean, if it's a cheap shot hit back in the day, is a cheap shot hit today.
Oh, yes.
A hard hit back then in the day, I mean,
but like a safety coming over the top and catching a guy on a fly route on one of those balls that's just kind of out of his reach.
Yeah.
That's technically, like, I wouldn't call that a cheap shot. You're trying to make a play on the ball, and you're just getting there at a crazy time. And they took that out of the game.
They have taken it out of the game.
Right.
I think it's...
And I get it.
I think of a prime example. It was a legal hit at the time. It is no longer legal. Was Vontaze Burfict on Antonio Brown.
Right.
That was a legal hit. Now, Antonio Brown may have really been affected by it. But it's not his fault. It's not Vontaze Burfict's fault that Ben Roethlisberger threw it in a spot where the hardest hitting linebacker in the league is right there.
Would the remember the Saints playoff game?
Which one?
Where the Eagles Saints playoff game? It was the year of
the Alshon drop?
It was the year from
Nick Foles.
No, it was the year.
Oh, Sheldon Brown on Reggie Bush. That's probably a penalty.
Sheldon Brown on Reggie Bush might be a penalty today.
That's one of the cleanest hits too,
and it is one of the greatest.
But the refs, it's more They hear the contact. They probably go, "Oh, something's illegal here." Exactly. And that's the problem. And that's why, like, certain things probably should be reviewed that aren't reviewed. And I don't want more review. You guys know that. But, like, when a guy lays a clean hit, but a ref is reacting to the hit by throwing the flag.
You know that hit and the hit in the Super Bowl that the Eagles had in the Super Bowl that knocked out
Brandon Cooks.
Brandon Cooks.
Malcolm Jenkins, yeah.
Right. That hit might be a flag today.
Right. And I would rather.
And it's ridiculous.
But I will say this, John. I would rather that be a flag than have guys go through CTE, major injuries.
Like,
I'd rather
the
sport.
You're not wishing that on
I'd rather the sport be worse to protect the players. But my main point is, I'd be lying to you if I said I didn't.
Did you think that was a cheap play? No,
the guy tried leaping over him, and Malcolm Jenkins said, "Oh no, that wasn't the leap. That was a different play."
Right, that was a different one.
But, yeah, I'm sorry, but was the blindside hit on Brandon Cooks that knocked him out. Yeah, but
there was nothing dirty about that.
Well, it's not even about cheap or dirty. There's just a certain level where you can't hit guys the way that you used to.
But they've litigated that out of the game.
Yeah, and look, I complained about one of our first shows together was the banning of the hip drop tackle. Right. And
by the way,
I'm sorry, if you're a 180-pound cornerback trying to tackle a 250-pound tight end, what are you supposed to do?
Get your weight up, son.
And I loved when the panelists on the ESPN NFL Live said, "We have never heard hip drop tackle used on one of these shows in 20 years."
Yeah.
And then it became a talking point.
Yeah. I mean, I get it's for player safety, but there is a part of you that goes, damn, really, you're throwing a flag for that? That was a clean hit. It's just, it was hard, really? All right, coming up next, some text about this Thunder-Sixers comparison that we have. I want to get to these coming your way next. We have a lot more in store for you. It's Kincade and Salciunas on this Monday morning, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
at 10 o'clock.
They're plotting something
for the
today.
midday show. They sure are plotting. But you just told me right as that music was playing that you have a question for
Yeah, I just had it. We were out the other day filming a commercial for
Window Nation.
Our friends at Window Nation. It was a lot of fun. And you showed up and you had a ticket on your front window. Are you a scofflaw today? Or did you?
I followed rules.
You followed the rules.
I got a ticket on the car.
What in the world does a scofflaw mean?
A scoff? You know what a scofflaw is?
I know generally what the term means, but I don't know the actual definition.
Somebody who disregards.
That
someone
sounds
who
like a try-hard
Someone
word.
who disregards like rules that apply to everybody else.
Yeah, okay, but this is a freaking stupid rule. All right, so we have our parking lot here. We have many spots. We have obviously the handicap spots.
Yes.
We also have
Electric
the
vehicle
electric
spots.
vehicle spots. And the closest spot to the door, and when we get here at 5 in the morning, and there's
Right.
nobody here, it says visitor on it.
Oh.
Nothing else. It just says visitor. I visit this building 5 days a week, right?
You're not a visitor.
It
I
sounds
don't
like
live,
you work
I
here.
don't live here.
And
But
if you-
I visit here.
And if you literally walked 5 more feet, there's like a row full of empty spots.
Well, John, in fairness, and I don't want to defend him on this, but I have to, the parking lot is pretty busy at 5 a.m. when we get in with all 6 cars. Parking
I
in a
get
normal
it.
spot.
Well, I thought it was a normal spot, but they left the ticket. Now I don't have to pay anything, but it was a ticket of, you park here every single day. Clearly, you're not a visitor.
Yeah, so it's just it's
Stupid rules.
You're lucky
I'm
it
just
wasn't
saying-
a felony. If we were in Louisville,
Yeah, exactly.
You're buying
It
bars.
would have been.
I think morning drive's starting to affect them.
So no, I did park somewhere else.
Good, you did, though.
Because I follow the rules.
Good job.
Unlike the golfer was Scotty Scheffler.
Yes.
I follow rules. There's no misdemeanors or felonies on my record.
Yeah, no one's standing in
Well,
front.
at least not for
I
that.
derailed you there, but I had to ask.
That's okay. No,
That is.
I followed the rules today. It's
Good, welcome in.
Good karma.
Good
All right?
karma to
Good
follow the
karma.
rules.
Now, when I used to do middays and the parking lot was packed, I definitely parked in the medical 60-minute spot all the time.
You're awful.
Well, my dermatologist is upstairs. That was always my excuse.
Oh, my God.
If they ever asked me, hey, were you here for
There you
work?
go. I got you.
Dermatology office.
That's
upstairs.
stolen medical patient valor, and I won't stand for it.
Man. They built a dentist office downstairs, and they put 50 medical parking spots. How many people go to the dentist at one time?
A lot of teeth. Everyone's
How many-
got them.
Seriously. Congratulations to the dentistry office downstairs. How many patients do you guys have?
I'm sorry I derailed this. I'm sorry.
All right, we're back.
All right, we're back to what?
I'm sorry. That was fun.
All right. So earlier today, we were talking about the Thunder losing to the Mavericks over the
Yep.
weekend, and Conor and I were celebrating that because it's a good coping mechanism for us because the Sixers process has not led to a championship
Which is
yet.
loser fan energy in my part.
Well, you even celebrated the Knicks losing.
No, I said I put a smile on my face and I said I feel like it's completely loser fan energy.
We all do it.
That the Knicks knocked us out. That's why I believe I didn't post anything mocking the Knicks. I didn't post
No, neither did
because
I.
I believe if one team knocks you out, shut your mouth.
Yes.
You shut your mouth. You don't have hand.
But every
Don't, you know.
city, every fan base has loser fan base mentality. Every single one.
You think everyone, eh?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. Every team roots for the other team. Because you know what? I would rather root for the team that beat me to lose than for them to win, and then the people go, oh, well, at least we lost to the champion.
Oh, I hate that.
I hate that one.
Gosh, I hate
It's
that.
one of my biggest pet peeves. Oh, well, at least we lost to the
I don't know how
champion.
many- I don't know
No,
how
you
many
lost, period.
I don't know how many times I've heard, well, the Sixers would have won if that double doink didn't have, the quadruple doink didn't happen. I'm like, that game would have gone to overtime.
And the Sixers could have won, and they would have
And they
beat, and then
could have
and then
won.
they matched up well against
Or
the
they
Bucks,
could have
and then they
lost.
would have beaten the injured Warriors, and the Sixers would have won the championship.
All these mythological things. It's just, come on.
All right, you're mythologically making the Thunder 4-time champions over here.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's what
Not at all.
I don't want to crown the Thunder as the team that did the process correctly just because they probably
Or
had some
just
more
better.
luck over there. Yeah, but then what have they done? They've done nothing. They lost in the second round just like the Sixers do.
Oh, no, someone on their team won MVP, right? No? Not
No.
yet? Oh,
Should have.
Interesting.
Should have, but he didn't.
Interesting.
Now they just one of their stars needs to not play basketball anymore, and then they have to trade for another guy who calls the GM a liar, and then they'll be the exact same team as the
Exactly.
Sixers. Now, what do we have on the text line about this conversation, Connor?
So we have a check-in here. No name on this one, but they say, L take, Andrew. Shake my head. No reason to hate on OKC. But then we have someone else check
Well,
in.
before we get to the next text.
Loser take, that means.
I hate the Thunder because of people like John no offense.
No,
respectfully,
bring it on.
That are already going, oh, see, the Thunder did it right. The Thunder did it the exact same way.
Better.
All right, fine, better. But they have not won anything.
That's
so
the
you
truth.
can't say that they did things better when they have won. They won nothing
We have
yet.
5 more playoff years to determine whether they did it. They already have done it. I believe done it better. But if you're putting it on, they have to advance further. Yeah. Okay.
Well,
wait.
hold on a
They
second.
got 5 more bites at the apple because people are still. Look. This was we agreed this morning. This year for the Thunder is like 18 for the Sixers.
Okay. Yeah.
So we got 19, we got 20, we got 21, we got 22, we got 23. I won't count this year. They got 5 more bites at the apple before we'll be able to
So what
say.
was 18, 19 the Thunder? That was the Raptors series, right?
19 was the Raptors series.
Oh, okay, because I was going to say this is Raptors.
This is 18.
All right.
We said this morning.
So when the Sixers lost to the Celtics.
When the Sixers lost to the Celtics. So we'll
the
find
confetti series.
The confetti series.
That was terrible.
And then the Sixers lose to the Raptors, and there is the conversation about if they
And by the
won.
way, that was a fantastic. And I do believe, I understand people who say, I could see them winning.
Right.
But that 7th game was going overtime, and
Yeah,
you were
it
going
was.
overtime. You were going overtime with guys fouled out.
Yeah, and they had the best player in the world in
Absolutely.
Kawhi Leonard. And then
So
the next season they were a 1 seed.
Right.
And they choked that playoff series against the Atlanta Hawks. But the reason why
it's 2 seasons
because they had
Two
the
seasons
bubble
later,
where
sorry.
And the bubble year, I don't.
that rule didn't happen.
By the way,
That
I
league-
don't even count.
No.
Seriously, I do not count the bubble
That's
year.
Mickey
that
Mouse
season
for
didn't
anybody.
happen. That
It was
season
ridiculous.
didn't happen, except for LeBron. Bring him here. So no, I can't say it's an L take. Like,
No, he said it. He said it to you.
no, to me, he's saying that it was a loser.
You don't have to take it as an L
for me.
take. I think it's a loser take. Me celebrating the Knicks losing, even myself, without like posting on
Yeah,
it.
we
or
all have
talking
personal
to people.
preferences.
I think it's a little bit of loser fan mentality.
I want the Celtics to lose.
Oh, I hate the
Is that
Celtics.
an L take, man, on the text line? Like, no, I want the Celtics to lose. Screw the Celtics.
Nah, bro, I'm totally good being a hater.
And I
don't root
wanted the
against
Mavericks to
everybody.
beat the Thunder because I wanted to see the Thunder lose.
Hating the Celtics is different than hating the team that beat you when you should have won.
Buddy, I got room to hate both of them.
No,
Yeah,
I can hate them both. But it is when the team beats you and takes your lunch money and kisses your girlfriend. Yeah, just sort of zip it a little bit. Just keep it a little quieter.
Sounds like
That's the way
someone I
look
would
at it.
hate.
All right, what's the other text that we have? Conor?
John from Langhorne checks in and says, so tell me when Sam Presti is forced to resign so a Nepo baby can be installed as a punishment.
They don't have to.
Why don't they have to?
Because they're absolutely right now. I think the league's very happy with what OKC looks like.
Yeah, the Thunder, that's not going to happen.
Almost like the first guy through the wall gets punched in the face and the second one goes through unharmed.
What?
The first person through the... Guys, you can put that together. That wasn't a hard thing to understand.
Slower for
The
me,
first
Conor.
person to
You're
try...
always in analogies.
The first person to try something gets smoked for it. And then the rest of the people that follow in their footsteps get to do it. It happens
Okay.
to
Got it.
younger siblings all the time. It's why they get away with stuff. If you're the oldest sibling and you do something bad, your parents will get you for it, but then you see all your younger siblings get away with it. The OKC Thunder are the younger sibling.
Yeah, but then again, it wasn't as drastic.
It wasn't as drastic.
The trades, the amount of trades they made were drastic. They also probably didn't think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was going to turn into the player that he became.
Right.
Never
Because that was
did.
the Paul George trade, and that clearly has benefited for the Oklahoma City Thunder. But I don't think Presti did anything that would lead to him needing to be replaced.
Listen,
I
yeah,
really don't
know.
think so. I've said this a couple of times. I said it to you guys a couple of weeks ago. I wasn't like, what was Sam Hinkie? When was it going to end?
Dude, that's fine, but
I don't think it was ever going to end.
I'm
dude.
not defending Hinkie. Just fire the guy and let the Sixers hire somebody else rather than forcing some dude who's going to ruin the franchise on him.
Really? Did he ruin the franchise?
think he
Or
did.
did he actually do some things that improved the franchise?
Conor, Ilyasova, and Bellinelli were nice additions. What was problematic was burner accounts.
Yes.
Yes.
So do
That
two
was
guys
problematic.
that were on the team for a year
Yes.
outweigh him
No,
burning
but
down
what
the
then?
relationship
But
with the
then the problem. Look, the biggest issue was the burner
I
accounts.
can't
Not-
believe you two are sitting in there defending Brian Colangelo.
I'm not. I'm saying
That's
the
what it sounds like it.
no. I'm saying the basketball mind was not the worst thing. It
I'm
was
not
him being a
worried about it.
lunatic with the unnamed sources and not like
Correct.
all these burner accounts. Because here's the problem: the worst thing that actually happened was him getting fired. Because then Brett Brown signs Wilson Chandler
You're
to
right.
a ridiculously high contract.
There are plenty of players. Let's look at athletes, right, where the athleticism isn't the issue. but maybe something off the field is. It doesn't mean you should want them. It doesn't mean they're not a failure.
Are we supposed to evaluate GMs do they have to do a combine?
When they start tweeting from burner accounts of their star players, then yes.
Yeah, but nobody knew it was him until he was caught.
Nobody knew it was him. Well, now we do. So.
Like Kevin Durant with his fake accounts. People are so petty. Like even the greatest in the world, like so petty that it's like, well, I'm going to make a fake account and defend myself. Just pathetic.
Yeah.
It's bad.
But
yeah,
anyways,
like that pathetic. Yeah.
I'm going to root for the Thunder's failure for the rest of the time. And I like all those players. I like all those players.
I love that team.
I'm going to root for
You should. They're a good team.
I hope they lose forever.
They're beautifully built.
I'm more happy for the Mavericks and I'm more happy for the Timberwolves than I am for the Thunder.
Okay, no, that makes sense.
Period.
I don't have any problem with that.
End of story. All right, here's what we got coming up. We have our Key 3, the 3 best minutes from today's show. So the Kincade and Salciunas Key 3 coming your way next. And the crossover with one Bob Cooney, who was ready to go for the midday show. Bill Colarulo in with him today. And, of course, Ray Dunn, the freshly shaven Ray Dunn.
Okay.
The mustache is gone. Thank God. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Ricky Vitalico.
Your Philadelphia Phillies.
97.5 The Fanatic. We have our crossover with Bob Cooney coming up momentarily. Before we get to the key three, I just want to let you guys know about the poll that I ran over the weekend.
You ran a poll?
It was not skewed either.
Okay.
I tweeted out a debate that started on Kincade and Salciunas this morning. Do you check the menu before going to a restaurant? That's all I asked. I didn't give what my opinion was. All I said.
No, you didn't. That was not skewed at all.
Do you check the menu before going to a restaurant? 69.5% say yes, I'm a menu checker. So screw both of you boys.
Okay, my wife
I don't check the menu. You're a psychopath, Andrew.
My wife was completely Team Tunis on this, by the way.
Conor said I was a psychopath.
I think most people are crazy.
For other
Congrats
things,
on proving
so do
my
I.
point.
So do I.
So 30.5% are with you lunatics.
By the way, Dave checks in, and he wants to say that on the thing he was talking about, the Schwarber thing from earlier today.
Mm-hmm.
He said, so if Schwarber was producing at a high level, hitting 300 and doing things, and the Phillies were losing, would he be getting blamed for the Phillies losing?
No.
Correct. He said it's the same statistical analysis that's being used. He's batting leadoff. He's hitting 300, but the Phillies are losing. Well, when he bats leadoff, the Phillies lose.
Tell you what, if he was batting like this and the Phillies were losing, he'd sure as hell be getting blamed.
Why?
Why?
Oh, batting like this and they were losing.
Yeah.
Oh, if he was batting like this, he would
absolutely.
be. Yes,
but
he
they
would
keep
be.
on winning, man.
He would be.
All right, it's time now for the Kincade Salciunas Key 3.
Now, the Kincade Salciunas Key 3. Today's best.
So I'm going to ask a question right away, and I know that I am guilty of doing this, but I think that you're not because you're logical, John. How many of us ignore negative signs when it comes to evaluating our team? We almost push it to the side, or we think that they will overcome it every single time. For example, we did not W's and L's last week, but we looked at the Eagles'
You
schedule.
did a good job with that, I got to tell you.
You got to 12-5. I got to 13-4, but I could see 12-5 if they lose back-to-back Rams-Ravens, but I'm not necessarily sure if that's going to happen. I think this team's too good to be losing back-to-back games.
Okay.
I say all these things, right?
Yes.
I have a 13-4 record. It's very similar to the same team that went 10-1 and fell to 11-6 last year. The linebackers still are very, very concerning. There's a lot of concerns about linebacker, and yet I ignore it when I do W's and L's, and I go, the Eagles are going to go 13-4.
Watched the Oklahoma City game and probably watched around a quarter and a half of that. I've got to tell you, I'm looking at it, and my dark thought, I look at it and say, I don't see it. I don't see any way we're building that. I'm looking at Embiid and Maxey and saying, how are we going to find 5 other pieces? 6 other pieces? You need 8.
Yeah.
You need 8 to match up with these teams. I got to tell you, I don't think he's the Wizard of Oz. I don't know how Daryl Moy's finding them.
Oh, it's good.
There's a dark thought.
The Phillies, they do it again. They sweep the Nationals. Saturday night, yeah, it looks like they might drop one. They win in extras. Bryce Harper with the sack fly.
Cody Clemens.
Yeah, Cody
Clemens is the guy.
You're right. I'm sorry.
He was the guy this weekend. He was
Had a good day
awesome this
yesterday,
weekend.
too.
He did.
He was awesome.
It's unbelievable what he's done since getting called up.
I love it
back
for him.
up.
I love it for him because I absolutely did not see it coming.
No, of course not. He's playing second base for them yesterday.
I mean,
it's awesome.
I mean, he's unbelievable.
But this Phillies, I know the Nationals absolutely suck, but this Phillies team, they just continue to roll. They're 34-14.
I think the Nationals can pitch. They don't have a bad pitching staff. They're coming around as a franchise. The Phillies just kicked them in the back and sent them home.
Question number 2 that I want to discuss, and I want you guys to think of some of these during the break. What new school or modern thought of sports do you agree with? But what old school approach do you think still works? To me, driving in runs, no matter how you do it, still works. Alec Boehm shows me that I don't need a 30 home run third baseman. As long as you're driving in runs, why should I care?
There are rumors that Mishkov will join the Flyers this offseason. I am here to tell you, just kicking the can and kicking some tires. You should not be counting on this in any way, shape, or form this week. I believe the people that I've spoken to aren't lying to me, and I believe that they are truthful and that nothing is where you should be able to put it in Sharpie that something like this is happening.
The great Ricky Batalico.
For all those people out there that are saying, because I'm sick of hearing it already, they haven't played anybody. They've played a lot of teams right now, and they are mowing them down. That is the only way to look at this.
When I look at the bracket, right, the Mavericks' 2 best players, guards. Timberwolves' best player, Anthony Edwards, guard. Celtics, Jason Tatum, Jalen Brown. Jalen Brown more of a guard, Jason Tatum more of a forward, but wing player. Pacers, guard and wings. The Sixers' best player is a center. Now,
Yep.
the Nuggets' best player, who won a championship last year, is a center.
Okay.
But they have the right pieces around them, which is something I don't think the Sixers have had, except for Tyrese Maxey. But it's one of these things where I had a dark moment in my life a few years ago, John. This probably surprises you. I had a dark moment a couple years ago. Sixers were eliminated from the playoffs, shockingly. And I watched Ja Morant and Steph Curry go toe-to-toe. Two guards, banging threes back and forth.
Western Conference Final.
Yep. And I go, man, I kind of wish I had. Now, I'm starting to see that in Tyrese Maxey, but I haven't really had that. And I don't know if not having that is the direction to win.
It plays to this that you expect your corner infielders to be guys that you pencil in 25 to 30.
Alec Bohm does not do that.
No, I guarantee you there will be people who have the discussion about Alec Bohm because of the fact of that.
Right. The fact that there's no
real?
power.
Is he real? Or we miss it? Is he really worth the big contract when it comes up and things like that? There will be people that hold that against him and don't look at the run producer that he is. It's unbelievable.
There's the Kincade and Salciunas Key 3 best minutes from today's show. And now we're joined by the great Bob Cooney. Bobby, good
What's up,
morning.
boys?
How are you today?
Everything good?
Yeah, everything's good.
Yeah, good weekend?
Yeah.
Very good weekend.
All right. That's what I like to
And
hear.
a nice weekend? Yeah, it was nice.
Ray Dunn, I don't know how he did it.
the
We'll
mustache.
see what we can get out of him today because he was partying all day Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Threw in a few hours behind the mic yesterday, but
He's
it's
back,
going to be a
he's back
struggle.
at it Monday morning.
He
man.
is back at it. Luckily, we have Bill Colarulo with us today, so maybe
He'll do the
Ray
heavy
can take it
lifting
easy.
for Ray.
Yeah, that's all right.
Bobby, we had a
Yes,
couple
sir.
of topics today, and one of them was about old school versus new school. Because we had this, John and I had this conversation off air last week, and then it hit me again this weekend. Alec Bohm is probably frowned upon by a lot of people because he doesn't hit 30 home runs. And I sometimes look at it and I go, man, my corner infielder is going to hit 18 home runs. But if he's driving in 100 RBIs, why should I care?
You shouldn't. It's like the Joel Embiid conversation that I had with somebody last week. I don't like the way he scores his 35 points.
I heard.
Really?
I brought this up earlier today.
I know you did. And I was like, really?
ridiculous.
So the game gets done and you see he has 35, but you have to go back and see how he scored them? No. If Alec Bohm gets you 117 RBIs or whatever it is, you take it. You absolutely take it.
The best explanation you gave, and it was logical, is Embiid's sometimes going to be taking three-pointers because he doesn't want to have to go basket to basket for 4 quarters.
So what is something new school or old school that you think is the correct way to do something? And it's always going to change.
That is a real good one. New school, the passing game and three-point shooting aren't going to change.
Right.
I just don't think.
But is it the right way?
Passing game in football, three-point shooting in basketball. It is, I think, in basketball because look at the range that these kids have now.
Oh, yeah, it's
You
ridiculous.
see it in high school. These kids are pulling up from 30 feet.
It's cooler than
It's a different
mid-range.
way of shooting, and they're perfecting it better. So, yeah, as much as I go against it sometimes, I think it is.
But you know
the
what's
way to
amazing?
go.
The passing game in football, once you get to the playoffs, baby, it's look at the Chiefs. Pacheco runs. Andy Reid runs the football.
Yeah,
in the playoffs.
Is it weather?
I don't
Or is it-
know.
I
or
think
maybe
it's
it's
sometimes
control.
weather.
It could be
Could be
controlling
sometimes
clock.
weather.
I mean, it could be a lot of things. It's interesting. All right, what do you got coming up today?
A lot of good stuff. Talking a lot of Phillies. There's some numbers there that I want to go over with these Phillies and this start. Also, here's the question of the day that's going to come a little bit later, but I think we need to root for the Boston Celtics to win the championship this year. I will tell you why.
Oh, wait.
What?
No, wait a minute. This is blasphemy. I can't wait to hear this.
I can't stand the Celtics. And
I know he
it's-
doesn't.
Jeez.
Yeah,
They're
but
your least favorite team.
might have to do it.
All right, well, we'll be listening.
All right,
Hey,
boys.
support life-saving cancer research. Join us and our generous partner, the Davis CPA Group, and make a donation to the AACR. Thanks, Ron. Thanks to the whole team over at Davis CPA. 97.5thefanatic.com/AACR. I'm living proof 3 times over. Cancer research saves lives.
Everybody have a great rest of your Monday. Midday show. Bob Cooney and Bill Colarulo coming your way next. We'll be back at it tomorrow.